Hey, what's going on? Keith here from Sports Vibes TV, and I'm joined by our NBA analyst, Steven Fox. And tonight, we're going to be dissecting the 110-104 loss that the Knicks were handed by the hands of the Orlando Magic. Foxy, how you feeling about this loss, my man?
I was gonna say all good, but not so good. But otherwise, salute to you, salute to the chat, salute to the SV Nation. I hope all is well. Hey, your Giants won, so one out of positive. 2, one positive. But this was a real disappointing loss tonight.
Yeah, definitely not a loss I was expecting to be discussing. I had a pregame show. I pretty much expected the Knicks to have a similar showing as we did on Friday, but unfortunately, that wasn't in the card. So, Foxy, what do you think was the major concern or the glaring issue that really was the difference between the result we saw Friday and what happened tonight?
There's a few. The start with Kemba. Cole Anthony went crazy, just ate him up. And as much as we were talking about all of the spacing and ball movement and the difference that Kemba brings to the team, we can't disguise his defensive liability. And it's 3 games in. We're not going to overreact tonight, folks. It's, we have a long season to go. We're going to be cool about it. But there's no denying that Kemba is going to be an issue going forward on the defensive front. And RJ hasn't played a complete game yet this year. He locked down Tatum in that first game, and we're happy about that. But he went scoreless in that first half. He had a good second half, but now he's come back with a 7-point game and a 12-point game. And defensively, Wagner outplayed him. On offense, he was getting backdoored. He was hitting threes. He looked really sluggish, RJ. And so I'm hoping, the thing that I'm looking forward to is December 18th. That's when the Knicks play Boston again, to make sure, because, Tatum has that already marked to say, hey, that wasn't RJ locking me down. I had a bad shooting night. And RJ's going to be saying, no, I'm going to show you I'll lock you down. So going in, so far, Kemba, that was my biggest concern after 3 games that, hey, D Rose, look what he's doing on offense. There's still, we have some defensive issues with Rose, but nowhere near what we have with Kemba. And he's lighting it up on offense. So you could deal with that. So, that element of it, and just I don't know, the minutes and everything, it just felt like a strange game. I didn't understand why he didn't give Fournier a little more burn. Fournier, only 25 minutes tonight. I was thinking that he'd get about 8 more minutes, and just meaning Burks wasn't lining it up. Burks had 24 minutes, and he wasn't lining it up either. What Burks do, he was 1 for 6 from 3 and 3 for 10 overall. So, Quick looked really out of, you got the yank quick. No pun intended. Tibbs just pulled that, said, hey, he's not hitting anything. And I was really hoping for the kid's purposes. He shot terrible, as we outlined in several of the shows that outlined that. I'm sorry, something came up on my screen that distracted me, but what was I saying?
You were talking about Quick.
Yeah, sorry. So the last few games we said about Summer League, his woes, and then in shooting from 3 and just shooting from 2, and the same thing happened during the exhibition season. And then he seemed to be a little better last game. So I was like, good, good, good. Let's think positive, and he couldn't hit anything today. And Quick wasn't gonna, meaning Tibbs was gonna hang out anymore, and just pulled him real quick. So, hey, you know what? It's a healthy loss, because sometimes with everything going on, they needed a piece of humble pie early in the season. I think we've talked about that they have a deep team, but they don't have an elite roster. They have some very good players, Randall, led by Randall, but we're saying, hoping that Robinson doesn't get hurt. This is 2 games in a row. Last game with a hamstring, we thought. And now with when Suggs went crashing into his knee, you and I were lighting a candle, and so was George. I was talking to George from Into the Knicks verse as the game was going on, and I was saying, oh no, oh no. But so, like I said, we're not going to overreact. This is a good loss for them. I wanted to find out. They look sluggish. I was wondering if Tibbs called they had a hard practice or something. They just didn't seem to have legs today, the team. RJ, like I said, looks sluggish, everything. What was your thoughts?
Could be the travel, going from Orlando, a game late on Friday, coming up and Sunday. You would think they'd have Saturday off, but who knows? Maybe Tibbs decided to call a practice. I think what was troublesome to me is the fact that the team was going very ISO heavy from pretty much the second half, not the second half, but from halfway through the second quarter towards the end of the game.
Yeah.
And I think when that happened, you saw a lot of our shooters kind of fall out of rhythm. It turned from the ball moving around and everybody being prepared and ready to make a play
to the playoffs in Atlanta last year.
Exactly.
ISO ball.
Everyone standing around, looking at Julius Randle, at times looking at Evan Fournier, and waiting for something to happen. And I think when the Knicks go out there and play that brand of basketball, it really doesn't put some of our role players in the best position to succeed. The ball doesn't come to them as many times throughout the game to really get them in rhythm. And I think we saw that pretty much with the way this team shot the ball. We shot 37% from the field, 27.1% from 3. And it really was a bad shooting night for the team as a whole. And also, if you want to look at Julius Randle, he didn't have the greatest night. He shot 8 for 24 from the field, 2 of 10 from 3. Did have 16 rebounds, but if you look, he only had 3 assists. And usually when we see Randle at his best, you're seeing him with about 6, 7 assists out there. And that way you see other players on the court kind of benefiting from his play and from the attention that he's attracting. And we didn't see that a lot. We saw, there was a few times where Julius Randle got the ball in transition and he didn't even look to try to find anybody else. He just kind of, bull rushed. Sometimes he was able to draw a foul, and then sometimes he would put up a bad shot. So I think it kind of starts with Julius Randle. He's going to have to be a little bit more mindful of getting his teammates involved and not try to turn it into, because at one point it looked like it was Julius Randle versus Wendell Carter Jr. And Julius Randle is not in the same tier as Wendell Carter Jr. He should not be trying to get into individual battles with him. We already know Julius Randle's a superior talent. Continue to trust your teammates, continue to play within our brand of basketball, and you'll see the team get easier looks. And we didn't see that tonight. And hopefully Tibbs will be able to take Julius Randle under his wing, say, hey, man, I know you're the star player on this team, but you don't have to do it all alone. You have help this season. Rely on be able to rely on those on the court with you instead of trying to do it all alone.
Yeah, I've been really impressed with how him and Fournier have been clicking really early.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I was hoping, that's why I was saying, hey, they're not in, but give them a few more minutes together. Because a couple of the curls that he came around was like, that was beautiful. He was in rhythm. Boom, 3-pointer by Fournier at the top of the key and stuff. But yeah, so hey, we'll come back from this. We have a tough schedule next week, but a good schedule. Hey, we knew it was going to be a tough year, and this was a win that this one's going to hurt. This is a win. Hey, the mark of a good team is when a good team beats a bad team. And this was a bad team. We lost it tonight. Like we said, we lost to a team that shot 27% from 3. And that's, 27.9. I'll round it off 28%.
28%.
Yeah. And also on the Knicks, the one thing that I wanted to mention is what's going on the last few games. You shot 68% from the foul line. So one of the things I talked about in preseason is, wow, folks, we're really shooting well from the foul line. And last year, we did 70, almost 79%. So we didn't shoot well last game, didn't shoot well this game. So again, it's only a couple of games in. We'll get into a groove. It all, the sample size is too little. It'll average out. But we need to, we can't lose games on the foul line, man. We were 17 for 25, and that's not what, you want to be much better at that. And again, 20 assists. Where's that ball movement that we talked about? We averaged 21. We had 34 assists the other night when we played great. Tonight, we had 20 and we averaged 21 last year. So that's worse than last year.
Yep. And you can tell the ball was just stagnant out there. Nobody could find any kind of rhythm. And to start the game in the pregame stream, I said that the team is going to come out, the Magic I'm talking about are going to come out with more defensive intensity. Jamal Mosley is a defensive coach coming over from the Dallas Mavericks. And yes, it's a young team, but those young teams, you think they would have, short-term memory. So yes, we went out there, we punched them in the mouth, but Jamal Mosley had this team prepared to come in and to fight for a win. And like you mentioned, it wasn't a great shooting night for either team, but and in a situation like that, you would think it would benefit the Knicks, seeing that we have a more veteran squad. We have a star player in Julius Randle, but it just wasn't our night. Hopefully, this is not this type of team or the type of play we're going to be putting out on the court regularly, because if we are going to be a team that looks like this, it's going to be a long season. It's going to be another season where we're going to be sitting at the edge of our seats against teams where we should be beating handedly. I hope moving forward, we see more games like the game on Friday where we showed up. We kind of took the spirit of a team that couldn't compete with us early, and that way we wouldn't have to kind of be nervous in the fourth quarter and allow a Terrence Ross to go out there and kill us. Because, Terrence Ross had 22 points in that fourth quarter, and that's really what sealed the deal for us.
Yeah. And a lot of it was against, and a lot of it was against RJ, who's supposed to be the lockdown guy. So, hey, we know he's, on Stephanie from the Queen's Court. I sent a thing to her the other day that when we were talking about the games this week, that Terrence Ross is the Knicks killer, so I'd be on the lookout for him. And sure enough, he didn't show up much in the first game, but man, oh man, you knew. And that's a scary dude. You just need one to get him going, because he had nothing going in the beginning of the game, first half of the game, and all of a sudden, boom, it turned on, and they were off to the races, man. And one of the things was, like you said, we're a veteran team, but those were young legs. So they were like those young legs today on that Orlando, that young team, and one of the youngest starting teams in all of the NBA, if not the youngest team in the NBA starting.
Yeah, that starting lineup, nothing but players. I think the oldest player was who? I think Bamba at like 23 or something, 22?
Yeah, something like that. I know.
Something like that. Yeah. So it's really a game we should not have lost. I was pretty confident to start the game, but everything that I talked about, I had a pregame with George from Into the Knicks first, who you mentioned, and I had a pregame with Inf. Pretty much everything we discussed the Knicks shouldn't allow to happen happened. George had mentioned we can't let Cole Anthony go off. He can be a microwave, somebody that can, breathe some life into this Magic team, and he went crazy. I have his stats pulled up. Cole Anthony shot 9 of 16 from the field, 5 of 9 from 3, 6 of 7 from the 3-point line. He had 29 points, and somehow he pulled down 19 rebounds. We let a 6'2" guard dominate on the boards, him along with Bamba. He had 8 assists, so he almost had a triple-double on us. And I guess he was saying, hey, you guys should have gave me a little bit more attention come draft time. Maybe I could have been doing this at the Garden, but with a Knicks jersey.
Yeah. And you know what? I like that. I like somebody that comes back and says, Halliburton did to us last year, said you should have took me. And I love somebody that has that chip on the shoulder. And we loved his dad. I loved his dad, watching his dad play. So he came and said, "You made a mistake by not taking me." Hey, through the first 3 games, if there's one thing that, that's been glaring, is we can't keep any guard. Our guards can't keep any guards out of the paint. They go there at will. And also we weren't stopping anybody from the perimeter. It was, he was knocking them down. What did he have? I think he had 50, he had 21 points in the first half. He had 15 points in 9 minutes. Cole Anthony. So, like you said, microwave. Yeah, in the first quarter. So he was just going off. And hey, you know what? We talked about it, but if this goes on a little too long, it's time to think about, hey, D Rose is fantastic. And you can't say anything about him. His 3-point shooting, everything about him. He had a fine night, but they're going to have to think about something, either Deuce or something. But Kemba's killing us defensively, and his offensive output, he still hasn't gotten into his stride, but he's just so tiny, man, that he got away with it earlier in his career. But now with the knee's not the same, and I'm glad he could take charges, but you know what? We don't want him taking charges with that left knee, so we'll see. The 76ers and the Bulls and the Pelicans next week. It's gonna really quickly show where this team's at, whether last year and with Tibbs, and we added, we know what we added and everything, but we're going against really good teams now, and we lost to a really bad team today.
Yeah, it'll be a good measuring stick next weekend. But Foxy, there was some alarming things that went down on the court with Mitch Robinson. Wanted to get your take on it. Mitchell Robinson went down, I believe, what was it, late in the third?
Yes.
And then he was able to check back in the fourth. He went down. Looked like it could have been his knee. Also looked like it could have been someone stepping on his foot.
Stepped it on his foot, the same foot.
Surgically repaired foot. Yeah, and I've said it time and time again here on the channel. There's a high probability that he can, that fracture can reoccur. So that was very scary for me. Luckily, it was just a false alarm. He was able to get back in and complete the game. But, while he was out there, he was a beast. He went 4 of 5 from the field. Got to get better with his free throws at 2 of 5. He had 10 rebounds, 4 of them offensive, 3 blocks, 2 steals. So once again, you can see him out there being a game changer defensively. And he also had 10 points in terms of scoring output. Now, Mitch, when they took Mitch out the game, you could see his defensive presence was sorely missed.
Terribly missed.
They could not keep Bamba and them out the paint once Mitch hit the bench and had to get tended to. So, Foxy, what were some of your thoughts seeing Mitchell Robinson go down and knowing that the kind of injury he has could be something that creeps up sometime in the future?
Well, that frightened me, but you know what? I was frightened last game. Last game there was against the Magic, there was a play under the hoop, and he went down, and there was a foul called, and you saw when he got up that he was sucking wind, and I'm like, take him out, take him out, take him out. And then a minute or so later, it's like, oh, he's holding his hamstring. I'm like, we just talked about this on the show for the last few weeks, that I hope they phase in Mitch a little easy, because that's how you pull hammies or a calf. So I'm glad that didn't happen. But hey, I think he's looked really well. It's very difficult, folks, as you know, to get into the NBA when you're not at your condition. These guys are, so he's done very well considering. But again, I just get nervous with him. Sucking breath out there, that something's going to happen. But yeah, the only thing is, hey, that's some ugly form on the foul shooting, isn't it? Yeah. Wow. I was hoping that 49% from last year be that he could work on it, but we'll see. That's a real line drive shot he has. But hey, defensively, the anchor, hey, he is the key to our season. So if he stays healthy, we're going to have a good season. I'm not worried about tonight's game. I'm not going to overreact, but he's the key. We got to keep him healthy. And, we went to, it's kind of weird that coming into the game, Randall's played 70% at power forward and 30% at center so far this season. So with Noel out, and Taj got a little burn today, but we saw Obi in there. Obi had nothing today.
Yeah, no, Obi wasn't great. He got posted too. They put him on a poster. I don't know which Wagner brother was. Or
I think that was
brother.
Mo. I think that was Mo Wagner. Mo who did the facial on him. But yeah, he's not hitting outside shots. So even in the game, the last game and stuff where he looked good, all his points are in transition. He's not. He missed all his jumpers. So I think last game, I think he had 14.
Was it 14 or 13?
Something like that, yeah. I could tell you in a half a sec.
I believe that one was 13. I think he had his career high against the Celtics.
Yeah,
he
get that wrong. Oh no, I'm looking at the same thing from today. I'm like, why is he only? But yeah, so if he doesn't get a mid range or hit that three on a consistent basis, he'll never go to the next level in his career. So yeah, so he was off obviously, and like I said, Evan didn't get the burn. Kemba 10 points, 3 assists. Can't ask any more from D Rose, man.
He had 13 last game.
Yeah, 13. Yeah,
I pulled it up for you on screen if you want to look at stream.
Oh, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so folks, this is a game that Tibbs is not going to let them forget, which is good. But I was hoping that we'd go 3-0 for the first time since 2012, 2013 when we won 54 games. But things happen for a reason. So you hate to have any losses, but this is a loss that's going to say, hey, fellas, we're not as good as everybody thinks we are, or the fans and the screaming, going crazy. We got to come back to earth and play every game, no matter who it is, like it's a playoff game. And you can't you can't lose games like we lost today.
Foxy, one thing I really didn't like too, at the end of the game, you kind of heard Julius Randle complaining to the refs, saying you got to call the game right, this, that, and the third. And listen, bro, you didn't have a great game. The refs aren't gonna help you knock down the 16 shots that you missed. And you did go to the free throw line 14 times. So I'm not sure, did the refs call a perfect game? No, I had issues with them as well. But the Zebras should not be the first people that you should be discussing this loss with. It should be discussing it with yourself internally, then looking at Tibbs and the rest of this team and saying, hey, we got to get better and we got to do right, because this team is a lot better than the Magic in terms of talent and what was available to each team on the court. So the refs should not have even been in the equation for Julius Randle to turn around and try to, say or place blame on them.
Yeah, he had a highly inefficient game, but he still scored 30. The issues are, quote unquote, our second best player, RJ. 2 games in a row where offensively he has not shown up, and we need him. Like no different than Julius. If you're having a bad game, we're still expecting you to have 16 or 18 points. That's a bad game for you, RJ. We can't have you to score 7, and we can't have you, 12 points. But the 12 points is. He really had 9 points. The last few points where the game was already done. So it was really almost like another single digit game, and shot 14% from 3. So it's 2 games, and I'm not worried. He has a beautiful stroke, so I'm not worried about his 3-point shot at all. But on my notes, he missed 3 bunnies again for him. So that's 6 points, folks, and there was a 6-point delta, 110 to 104. So you don't miss those 3 gimme shots like that, And we talked about the foul shooting. The kid Franz Wagner was impressive, though. The last few games, very high IQ, beautiful on switches. I talked about him in the draft that. He's a glue type of guy. He's not going to be really exciting, but winning teams have guys like Franz Wagner, and you can see it. So, but the speed of Suggs, they couldn't do anything with his speed. He
Yeah.
went where he wanted.
You're a big Suggs fan, right?
I
Yeah, I
am
know.
a big Suggs fan. His game hasn't come together yet, but that's the NBA. It's very difficult to come to the NBA. His shot selection, but he has explosive speed. And when you have speed like that, and the game starts slowing down, he'll have a very good career. He'll have a very good career. So, but yeah, I'm a big fan of his. But we're going to see somebody this week, folks, that was taking over him, Scotty Barnes, who may be, we talked about RJ against the Celtics. Folks, I don't know if anybody in the SV Nation or in the chat caught Scotty Barnes' performance against the Celtics, against Tatum and Brown. This is the second coming of Dennis Rodman, folks. This is, I think, in his first year, he may, if he doesn't make first team, I think he'll be second team and all NBA on defense, this kid, Scotty Barnes. So I'm really looking forward to seeing him this week. And I'm wondering if he's going to cover RJ. It's going to be very interesting to see how RJ, this kid is 6'9" with a 7-foot wingspan, how RJ can handle him if he covers him.
Yeah, Scotty Barnes. Scotty Barnes had me answering a whole bunch of questions because remember when he ripped Luka in Summer League?
Yeah, at the midcourt. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, a couple times I think, right?
Yeah,
I had to answer questions in the comments time and time again. I'm like,
well, you're Mr. Luka. Anything, and that or Mr. Rokas when in down has keys.
And it's soon enough they're gonna call me Mr. Mitch. Hopefully we resign him though because we saw how.
Well, I thought Inf is Mr. Mitch.
He's Mr. Anti-Mitch.
Where's the love?
He keeps me grounded, and I make sure he doesn't fly off the rails.
Oh, shout out to you, Inf. Shout out, my friend.
Yeah, salute to him.
Salute to you.
So how did you feel about the rotation? I think you mentioned it a little bit, how Fournier didn't get much time in the fourth. He decided to stick with Burks, even though I think Burks, I don't understand the love affair with Burks. Burks has been solid at times last season. He was solid in the game against the Magic on Friday. But there's still times where he just holds on to the ball. He doesn't move the rock around, gets stagnant with him, and he tries to razzle-dazzle and find his own shot. How are you feeling about Tibbs deciding to go with Burks over a Fournier, even though neither one of them really were having a good shooting night?
Yeah, it was confusing to me after Fournier's first two games. He's a shooter. So, saying, what, let him to get it together. But also, like we talked about, his synergy with Randall. If he hits one and him and Randall could get, each one could trigger each one to get going. So we spent this money for him. And like you said, there's times with Burks, it's like we said last year, are you playing for a contract or are you just making bad plays here? Are you being selfish? So yeah, he played him a lot more than I thought. And hey, I don't mean anything. If you got to bring, if Cole Anthony is going off like that, you got to say, you know what? We got to bring in Deuce. We got to bring in Grimes. We got to bring in somebody. Let's try to shut this guy down. And
it was on Tibbs' mind. He played Deuce a little bit for maybe like
0.4 minutes,
second or whatever. Was it that long? No, like he put him in like right before halftime or something like that for like 0.4 seconds.
Yeah, he played 4 minutes today. But it didn't seem like 4 minutes. I agree with you. Is that what you see also with my crummy old eyes? But
4 seconds. I think it was like 4 seconds.
4 seconds.
It was like a little bit of time before the end of the
I saw that. Yeah, I thought it was 4 minutes, but you're right. It's 4 seconds. Yeah, but you got to do something like that and bring him in. But and the same thing, I don't mean anything. If Terrence Ross is going off and nothing's happening, hey, give Grimes a shot at him. Give somebody a shot. So but we're not getting. It's just 3 games in. 2-1. We have a winning record. Go against the 76ers this week on Tuesday. And minus the Simmons, thank God. But Harris is playing well. Embiid's playing well. The kid that
Steph
the Knicks
Curry went crazy, right? Didn't he have I saw a stat 25 points in the first quarter?
Yes, Curry
crazy like that.
And also who's playing very well for him. And a lot of people don't realize the player that the Knicks wanted to draft was not actually Emmanuel Quickly. It was Maxey, the kid on his team. When Maxey was taken, then they took Quickly. And Maxey's having a great season so far. He's averaging almost 18 points a game for them. So he's a real dog on defense. He's a much better defensive player than Quickly is. And both of them, their shot selection at times could be, he's a very streaky shooter, but actually the Knicks wanted Maxey more than they wanted Quickly. But once he was taken, then last year, and Quickly had a great year last year, and you can't take it away from him. But so far this year, man, he is putting himself in a very dangerous position to give Grimes or somebody an opening, because he can't hit floaters, he can't hit threes, and he's not running a point. So he's keeping everyone out of sync. He just looks totally out of sync out there, man.
Yeah, hopefully Quick is able to figure it out. I have high hopes for Quick. I like Maxey too. Maxey definitely. What was it? I think it was in summer league. He had a pretty solid showing. I like Maxey. I'm not sure if I would prefer Maxey over Quick. I think when Quick is firing on all cylinders, he brings a different dynamic to that second unit. But he's definitely going to have to start knocking down his shots, because if you're looking at the depth of this team, we got a bunch of young guns sitting there on the bench that can provide the level of defense we need to stop a player like a Cole Anthony. Because let's be honest, Cole Anthony's a talented young guard, but he's not somebody you look at and you say, they're unstoppable. We should have somebody on this team that we can send out there and say, hey, make life difficult for Cole Anthony. That he should not have been able to go out there and had this kind of shooting performance he did. He shot over 50% from both the field and the three-point line. So
and
it would have been nice to see. Go ahead.
Yeah, if you ask Clyde or an old-fashioned player, how do you stop a Cole? You got to get physical. And Kemba and D Rose can't get physical, but a Deuce could, or a Grimes could. Especially,
Well, you saw D Rose get physical offensively. I think there was a play in transition where Derrick Rose attacked, was able to get into Cole Anthony's chest and draw the N1. I think that was towards the end of the game, and we're trying to come back.
Yeah, and they talked about him being 6'3", going against like a 6'1" Cole 6'2". Anthony. Yeah. So he used his strength and everything. Yeah, absolutely. But that's the thing where what we saw is like Cole Anthony did it. D Rose got the ball and came back and scored on him, like saying, "Yo, you do it on me, I'm going to do it on you." We haven't seen that from Kemba yet. All right, you did it to me, I'm going to light it up. He's not lighting it up. He's scoring some baskets, Kemba. But what he gives up versus what he's doing is, so that's why it's alarming that it's only 3 games in.
Not a good trade-off.
It's not a good trade-off. And like saying, I don't think this is a one-off. I think this is what it's going to be like, that the guys are just going to feast on him. And they're going to just, there's just, the guards in this league are just so good, and they're so big and strong and fast. That's just going to be really, really difficult.
Yeah, let's just shout out a couple people in the chat. Sergeant Knicks, aka G-Man for Life, for saying salute to the chat, salute to the panel. Thank you for tuning in. It was a tough loss, so I appreciate you guys staying up late to discuss the game with us. I know a lot of you guys would prefer to be in bed, resting up and getting prepared for the game against the Philadelphia 76ers, but you guys are tuned in and breaking down the game with us, so I appreciate you.
Yeah, he's a good guy, Sarge, and please, if you haven't subscribed to Blawrence Tears, subscribe. Sergeant Nix is on the podcast, the Pod Couple with Cornerstone Kev. So 2 really good guys. So do me a favor, if you haven't subscribed, subscribe to Blawrence Tears. Shout out to Freezy and Miss Mocha. Hope all is well. Hey, Will Salk and salute. Hope all is well. Our brother, Michael West. Why is this guy ragging on all the young players? He sounds like a fan, not an analyst. Thanks, Michael West. I appreciate that. Hey, I ain't ragging on anybody. I said we're not overreacting. It's 3 games in. But do you want me to say that they had a great game? Tell me what you want me to say, Michael West. That we want to jump for joy the way Quick's been shooting, or that you're happy that he had 7 points the other night, RJ? We're just calling it like we see it. So... but thank you for joining. Boost Mobile, as always, my friend. Lex the Destroyer, shout out. Hey, if you haven't smashed that like button, that subscribe button, and if you haven't turned on that all reminder bell, please do so. Please share the link on your favorite social media platforms. And last but not least, shout out to the best mods on the planet: Boost Mobile, Lex the Destroyer. May 4th's in here. I don't know if Delano stopped by yet tonight, but we appreciate all you do. Hey, Latrell, Spreewell, the American Dream. Again,
Ron was
shout
here as
out.
well.
Yeah, hope Alana and the baby's doing well, and you're doing well, my friend. Let's see.
So Foxy,
Yep.
what do you think Tibbs is telling the team right now after this loss? How is he getting them prepared to now rebound against one of the best teams in the East coming up this week?
I think that what we touched on is like, folks, we got too much into ISO ball. What we liked about in the preseason and what we saw was that great ball movement in that spacing. Let's get back to that. Let's get back, that extra pass. Let's not go ISO and hey Julius, we love you and stuff. But when you do that and you decide you don't have the shot, you're only giving us 5 seconds to shoot, and then we're not going to have a good shot. So that's what I would just say is let's get back to that ball movement. Let's do the less ISO ball, and let's play tough D. We had Swiss cheese D on too many plays tonight. So Mitch coming back, that's to be thought, that's normal. He hasn't been in there taking the reps and stuff like that. But just getting back to basics. Hey, this is I still think we're going to have a top 10 defense. We're going to have a good season, and it's just again, you can't, we had the worst shooting night we had so far this year. Fellas, we shot 27% from three, or 28. I'll round it off. And that's an anomaly for this team. We've been shooting well the first 2 games, and we shot great last season. Last season, we shot 39% from three. So you can't shoot almost 10 percentage points less without it having an impact. So we'll be great. We'll be fine. But like you said, I just want the rotations and stuff like, Fournier played great. Give him those minutes, man. Let him have those 30 some odd minutes. Let him, sometimes it's not falling, but all of a sudden, like we saw with Terrence Ross, you get on fire. And I didn't think Fournier had that chance tonight to turn it on.
And also, I think Fournier, I liked him out there with that unit more so than Alec Burks. I'm not gonna say and act like I'm the biggest Alec Burks fan, but you saw how Evan Fournier was able to start the season, which is something you said. Why not continue to feed him or to keep him out there late in that game, knowing you need some offensive firepower and knowing we've already seen Fournier go out there and have a 30-point barrage and be able to give you, points and bunches. Alec Burks, I think, is serviceable with the second unit, but for the most part, the second unit wasn't clicking. So it didn't make sense for me for Tibbs to continue to have Alec Burks in there. He decided to go with the starters, bring the starters back in, but he left Burks out there with RJ and with Derrick Rose. I would have liked to see Derrick Rose more with Fournier, with RJ, with Randall, and then with Mitch. Also, I think something we haven't said much about, we're kind of seeing why the team was so adamant about having 2 bigs that can kind of protect the paint and stop people from finishing easily at the rim. You're starting to see how we're missing Nerlens Noel with that second unit. Like when Mitchell Robinson went down and we had to go the small ball route, that lineup isn't going to work against every team. And the Magic with Wendell Carter Jr., with Mo Bamba, they weren't going to be one of those teams where the small ball was going to see a whole bunch of success. In spurts, yes, but I think in large bunches and flurries, it's not going to work well or work in our favor long term. So we're definitely going to have to get Nerlens Noel back at some point, have him be there. Taj is a great mentor, I think, out there. He should be taking Mitchell Robinson under his wing and teaching him some post moves. But Nerlens Noel needs to come back to this team quickly, so that way we can be a full squad, have that 48 minutes of rim protection, and against the right matchups, then we can deploy that small ball lineup and have Obi and Julius Randle be a weapon out there as a duo.
Yeah, I agree. And also one of the stats, getting back on Fournier, that has impressed me. He's had 6 steals in the first 2 games. So we show so that his savviness. Yep. Hey, Jaylen Brown lighting him up, folks. Jaylen Brown would have lit up anybody on that night. Also, he's just electric. That type of athleticism. I don't think the Knicks have anybody. I don't think there's anyone in the league. The only one was either you or I think JD or George. I said the only one that could maybe have had any impact was Ben Simmons because of his size. But when somebody's shooting like that, and then the very next game against Scotty Barnes, he had 9 points. So Jaylen went from the from the mountain down into the valley real quick.
Yep.
So but with Fournier, hey, but here's some good news, folks. So Michael West and a few others, just to think positive. Reggie Bullock's first 2 games, he scored 3 points, and in his first game he scored 1 point and had 3 rebounds, and in his second game he had 3 points and 1 rebound. So so they're big free agent acquisition, Mavs. I don't think we're missing them. And he also got lit up by Cam Reddish and everything. So I'm happy with Fournier. I'm not looking back on Bullock. So Bullock is just being Reggie out with Dallas. So far we're not missing much with him over there.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest Evan Fournier signing fan. I mean, I wasn't the biggest fan of the Evan Fournier signing, but you can't complain about what he's done. I mean,
he's a big step up from Bullock. I agree with you. I would love a 6'9", 7 foot plus wingspan, 3 on this team that could shoot threes and have incredible defense, but they weren't any in the free agent market, and
Scotty Barnes was already off the board.
And Scotty Barnes was already off the board. And but Garuba wasn't, though. Who's a monster on defense. So
he's more of a project, though.
He's a project on offense, but he's not a project on defense. So and some people think the same about Scotty Barnes. So Scotty Barnes is special, man. Wait till you see him next week when we play him. The thing about him is where I said he's so Dennis Rodman-like is his motor. He, defense is a real special thing. If you want to be great on defense, you have to want to be great on defense. And Scotty Barnes has this just electric personality that he wants that challenge. So it's going to be very interesting to see that kid. And you know what? Ujiri over at Toronto has such a fantastic eye for talent. Everyone's like, how do you lose Kyle Lowry and not draft Jalen Suggs? That's your point guard of the future and everything. And you took this guy who can't shoot and everything. And everyone's like saying, boy, this guy Scotty Barnes is good. Yeah, he is. And God forbid he does learn how to shoot. He's because I said in the draft part that he was top 5 passers in the draft this year. So we know about Cade, we know Suggs and everything. He has such an unbelievable IQ for passing and everything. So his rebounding, his defense, best lateral movement I think I may have ever seen in analyzing a player. So it's going to be real interesting next week to see that.
So Foxy, if you had to
not next week.
What I think we play the November 1st is when we play
something like next week is the Bulls, Pelicans, and next game is against the 76ers.
Yeah, I'm trying to give away tickets, but I got to get the website up so I can do a raffle giveaway for that game November. I think it's the 1st. I got to look at the app. So Foxy, if you had to give a game ball to someone, I mean, it's slim pickings with the way these guys were shooting, but who would you give the game ball to, even though it's in a defeat?
I guess our guy D Rose.
D Rose.
D Rose. I think Julius had the numbers, but it was highly inefficient. So D Rose, he shot well from 3 tonight. He shot well from D Rose. Can't ask any more from D Rose other than maybe instead of him playing 28 minutes, that he played another 6 minutes or something.
Maybe we win because he was a +8. I mean, I know a lot of people don't like plus minuses, but hey, it's a nice way to kind of look at what players were involved in certain
and
runs or
what
key runs to
was
the game.
Kemba's plus minus?
It was brutal, I bet.
Minus 14.
Yeah, minus 14. Yeah, he had the worst.
And you know what?
Yeah.
A lot of us say, you know what? A lot of times that plus minus is not really, it doesn't really reflect the game. Oh, it reflected the game tonight, folks, with Kemba.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I mean, the crazy part is he had a bad plus minus against in the blowout too. I think I was looking at it. I think he had minus.
Yeah, everyone's
we won by almost 30, and he was -2.
Yeah,
so
everyone's lighting him up.
Starting here.
That's why I said that it's 3 games in, but you know, our job is to look at those trends. And yeah, we got a super chat. Michael West, you're cool, man. I appreciate your comments.
Salute. Oh, I'm not able to put it up. Thank you though. It says next time, and it's a dope like emoji, like an emoji. It says next time. I wish I could put it up on screen. That's actually kind of dope. I didn't even know we had those.
Me either. But Michael West, we really appreciate your support. Hopefully you subscribe to the channel, and we like your
Michael
feedback.
West is a regular.
Yeah, we appreciate your feedback.
In the streams and also in the comment sections of the edited. So appreciate your support, Michael West. Thank you for the $3 super
You're
sticker.
Awesome, man.
And thank you for introducing me to super stickers. I didn't even know that. That's pretty dope.
Yeah.
You learn something new every day. See,
is that an elephant? Is that a hippo?
Like,
a hippo elephant? I don't know.
Either a hippo or an elephant.
Yeah, I don't know if that was just my spiked iced tea kicking in.
Well, all Knicks fans need a drink after this one, because I tell you, I was excited about the blowout win. People were saying, why are you hyped that you beat the Magic? I'm like, well, look at this. We just lost to the Magic. So I'm going to celebrate when we win, because you never know here in the NBA. You think you have a sure win, and team just doesn't show up. It's unfortunate, but we'll get them next time. I just hope we can build off of this and don't let this turn into a slide. I don't want the team to get down on themselves. Everybody has bad games every now and again. And now we're going to have to put our best foot forward and try to go up against the 76ers and get that W. That's the next team on the schedule, right? 76ers?
That's correct. Tuesday.
Yeah. Is
that
home or that's away, right? It's an away game?
Let me see if I wrote that. That is, I don't know.
I could find out.
Yeah.
I'm on ESPN.
I just know it's Tuesday. They're 1-1, and I know that Harris is averaging 21.5, Embiid 20.5, Maxey 17.5. It is?
Yeah, home game. Tuesday, October 26th.
Good. Hey, shout out Craig Mack, always supporting us, man. So hey, Michael West said it's hippos. Don't play with hippos.
Hippos?
Yeah.
Hey, hungry hippos. Remember that game from back in the day?
No.
There is a simple game, but I used to have fun playing Hungry Hippos. You just smash.
I don't know that game. Was it
It was a board game. You never played Hungry Hippos?
Nah. I played Scrabble. I played Monopoly. I played did I say Scrabble and Monopoly yet? I wasn't a big game player.
What I'll do is I'll send you a picture of Hungry Hippos when we're done. Elite Hunters is asking, what can we do to get a floor general?
I thought you only saw Hungry Hippos at 3:00 in the morning.
in the White Castle drive-thru or something.
Exactly.
Or if you let Chuck say it and tell it in San Antonio, that's what he says, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of big women in San Antonio. I've never been to San Antonio, so I would have no idea. I'm gonna just go off what Chuck says.
Yeah, as we used to say in the fashion industry, that's large, extra large, and oh my God, she's coming this way. So those were the big sizes. Those were the sizes.
Craig Mack is funny. Role reversal, Giants win, Knicks lose. And it was crazy. I thought I was going to have a good Sunday, the first good Sunday in forever. Knicks were about to win. Giants were about to win. And I was going to be able to come on here, crack jokes, laugh. But now we have to have a more serious tone because, you know, we got a tough game coming up against the 76ers. And this could be one of those games where it starts a nice little losing streak that we don't want to start the season with. So hopefully they can make some corrections and come back with their A game, because we thought this was going to be an easy game. We know for a fact the Philadelphia 76ers are going to give us their best, their A
Yeah.
plus effort, because they have championship goals in mind,
Yeah.
or
And I don't
championship
like losing on,
aspirations in mind.
yeah. And I don't like losing on our home court. No.
Facts.
So you come here, man. This should be sacred ground. I don't care. You may lose it on their court, but when you come here with the six man being the fans and everything, you don't lose at Madison Square Garden. So I do not like that. I do not like that at all.
And then the
So
crazy part is they have this nice visual talking about we have to protect Madison Square Garden, we got to protect New York, stand our ground, etc. On the pregame thumbnail, I made sure I put protect home court. And the Orlando Magic are a team where you really shouldn't have much difficulty holding your ground at home, where your bench is supposed to have a better performance. That's usually the mantra, but this time it was the opposite.
yeah.
The Knicks bench performed better in Orlando, where it was like a pseudo home game, because by the third, fourth quarter, it was nothing but Knicks fans. And now at home, we don't see a great showing from the team. I mean, from the second unit. So that's kind of interesting to see.
Yeah, that and what we've talked about with certain players on this team, whether RJ or a few others, Obi, etc., that we need them to have a mid-range game. Some days that 3-point's not going to be falling in. It's a higher percentage shot, the 2-pointer, because it's closer. So we need them to hit more, develop more of that mid-range game. It's a higher percentage shot. And yeah, we want 3-pointers in the mix, but it's just craziness. Last game, we only missed one shot at the rim for the whole game. So we went through some stuff. We missed 23 shots in preseason against the Pistons in the paint. So I'm like, wow, it's coming together, man. We only missed one last game. So, but that's the mark of a early in a season and a young team also, is that inconsistency. We just need to get into our groove, but hopefully it's not going to be with brutal practices that run us into the ground. We just, ASV Nation and chat, was it me or did you think that we looked a little sluggish tonight? It looked like we had heavy legs for some reason. So Citizen X,
Foxy,
shout out. Yep.
how did you feel about this Knicks team still being befuddled when teams go zone on them? You would have thought we would have had some kind of game plan to kind of break the zone. We've
I
got all these
know.
shooters now, where we shouldn't be able to be held in check by a simple 2-3 zone. What do you think? What are your thoughts? And what are some things the Knicks should do to try to adjust to make sure this doesn't become a staple as we go and face other teams throughout this league?
Play D Rose more. No, seriously, just meaning I'm with you. I think a lot of times it's your point guard who's key, whether, a lot of times in zone, you got to crack it right down the middle. And as they do that, then you kick out. But I think more than anything tonight, like I said, you can't shoot 28%. You're not going to break any zone shooting 28% from three. They're just going to say, we're going to keep letting you shoot. And we did. We had 48 3-point attempts tonight. We put up 100 shots. Mm-hmm. So in total, that mix, we shot 33s last year, so that was 18 more tonight than we're used to. And, statistically,
and we probably made about the same amount that we would have made shooting the 30, close to it.
Yeah. So that's why I'm saying it's just that night. It wasn't falling in, but like we said, when you miss 8 foul shots and you have a 6-point difference in your loss, the threes are not going to always fall every game, but that's a free shot. Those foul shots, man, you got to make those foul shots, and or at least do a lot better on them. So, the guys will feel it. Hey, the one thing I like about this team is that they're gonna come back and they're gonna work hard. They're not gonna hang out. Hey, did you see Mo Bamba on a few plays? The guy took off a couple of plays, man. How do you do that if you're from Harlem, you're from New York, you're playing in front of a New York crowd, and this is supposed to be your turnaround season. You can't take off plays, man. So there was a couple of hustle plays that were just so blatantly no effort. It's like, yo, what is it with these players, man?
That got to play a cut in preseason.
Well, we have a kid
Ironically,
on.
we signed him.
I was about to say we have a guy that we signed who did something like that, Luka Shamak or
Samanik or something.
Shamanik, yeah. So yeah, and like I said to you last week, if you can't have a motor for Pops, I don't know who you could have a motor for, because if you think Tibbs is hard, Pops goes to a whole nother level.
Yeah, actually, Tibbs spoke about him today. Not today; it was yesterday. He kind of talked about him the same way he talked about the other Luca, the Luca with a C. He said he's a G League thing. So you know what that means when Tibbs says something like that. So probably not going to see him with the team this season. Probably going to spend the majority of the time down there with the G League. But who knows? Maybe he could come up and contribute.
Yeah, like I said, he has all the tools, all the size, and everything. But you can't teach somebody a motor. You can't teach that, man. That either you have it or you don't.
Yeah. Foxy, Elite Hunters is asking, would Simmons be the general the Knicks need? I would say no.
No,
I'm not a fan of a point guard that can't shoot. And also now it looks like he's dealing with some mental health issues. He's saying mentally he's not ready to play the game and be with his Philadelphia 76ers teammates. Is that the truth? You know, who knows? We're not in his head. But if you look at the situation, you can kind of understand why it could be some kind of mental health issues. You know, he's scared to shoot. That's mental. And then you look at what they're doing in Philly, they kind of barricaded the players' entrance so that they can't heckle and harass Ben Simmons. So when you look at all those, you know, supporting documents and supporting evidence, you can understand why Ben could be, you know, could have a fractured psyche. So could it be legitimate mental health issues keeping him off the court? Definitely. Could it also be a ploy to get him out of Philly? Possibly. So we're going to have to wait for that to shake out. But as a Knicks fan, I don't want to be the one to get involved in that fray. We've got a solid team of players that put the work in, try to get better. As a Knicks fan who doesn't really follow Ben Simmons in the offseason, I can't say I've seen anything that shows that Ben is putting in the work to get better. And for that, I would say, you know, I kind of want to stay out of it as a Knicks fan. I don't think we would be the right fit. And if he's not succeeding or excelling with Philly media, what makes you think he'll be able to succeed here in New York, where the media is probably just as bad, if not worse? And I don't say bad as in terrible. It's just the coverage, you know, the scrutiny that you're under is just as high in New York, probably more than you would be in Philly. I think just Philly fans get a little bit more reckless when it comes to dealing with players as opposed to New York fans.
Yeah, and also the effort that we've been putting in since Rose came on here. I'm building with Tibbs and Wes to build a culture that's taken a step back. Meaning, he's so unbelievably talented. Simmons, he's a generational player on defense. You know, he's just that disruptive, what he can do on defense and his playmaking and stuff like that. He's very difficult getting to the hole. But like you said, he didn't take, I think, 4 games. He didn't attempt a shot in the fourth quarter, and his foul shooting and, you know, not taking threes, and for the money he makes. And then, you know, it goes beyond just this year. He's had a history of being known as just not a cool dude. You know, he's an aloof guy. He's not the greatest guy. And he's had back issues. He's had other issues. So I would not want to invest in him. No way, no how. He's not good for culture. He's a very good ball player, but I just wouldn't want to build a team with him. Just don't know when, like you said, mental issues. My heart goes out. That's a very serious thing. But that's not something you fix with a psychiatrist. That's meaning it's something you do fix with a psychiatrist, but over a long period. It's not something,
not
you know, you don't, it's not a short-term thing for, you know, and we've seen, what was it, Nick Anderson or on Orlando could never shoot after he missed a foul shot again, you know, where he had a mental thing. Yeah, the things happen, man. And the pressure. And like you said, Philly's a brutal town. They don't play down there, but New York takes it to a whole nother limit. So now, So,
Yeah, that's
you
one
know,
case I like to stay away from.
yes, but he's a young man. I wish well for all the kids. I don't wish bad on anybody. So I wish he gets his game together, just not here.
Foxy, they're calling you. They're calling you the SVTV Woj.
Yo, Citizen X, thank you for the compliment. Yo, shout out to Soulfinger. Soulfinger. Yo, San Diego Smooth, salute. He's such a cool dude. That L doesn't feel good. However, the season's long. We said that, Soulfinger, that we're not going to overreact. It's a loss. It's not a good loss, but sometimes losses are good to learn from, and
Yep.
we had to learn that we're not as good as we thought we were. That people are just not going to lay down, and even the lowly Orlando Magic, that they're a professional team, man.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I'm still mad we lost, man.
Yeah,
Brutal loss.
Dan Marrero, especially with Grimes, at least try to stop. I'm with you, Dan. Yeah. So whether it's with Kemba not being able to start anyone, Kemba, I was really upset in that first game. We should have never gone to double overtimes. And I'm sending stuff to you. I'm sending stuff to George and JD saying, yo, what is this disparity between the minutes between Kemba and D Rose? I don't get it. And George comes back, says, yo, he's playing in front of his mother. This is his first hometown. He's back at home. He's playing in front of his mother. And Tibbs doesn't want to, embarrass him by taking him out. And I think George was 100% right. But I'm like, I don't give a shit. I want to win the game. D Rose should be closing this out in the fourth quarter. What are you doing, Tibbs? So we get through that, and I'm like saying, yo, Tibbs, you're getting soft on me. Hey, I don't mean anything, but I don't care if a vet goes 0 for 14 shooting, but the turnovers in the last minute against Boston blew me away. A vet should never, I don't care what's going on, that should never happen to a vet. You may, like I said, you may have an off shooting night, but you should never, as a point guard, make those mistakes turning the ball over. So I'm like saying from that first
2 back to back,
brutal, just brutal. And forget about the 2. Then he had a defensive lapse where he made the circle and didn't cover Smart for the tying 3.
I mean, even though we were screwed regardless, because if he stays where he's at, Schroeder gets the open 3. If he doesn't get spun around and tries to close out on Schroeder, Smart still gets the open 3. But at least you would have liked him to be in a better position to at least capitalize over a mistake. Where he was in no man's land. They could have rolled the ball to Marcus Smart, and he could have got the ball and shot the.
But he was in no man's land because the play, if your head's into the game, the play is strictly at the 3-point line. You don't give a crap if they drive because they let them drive for a basket. We'll still win by one. Yeah, exactly. So I'm like saying to myself, yo, Tibbs, I'm watching that, and then just watching the game so far, I'm like saying, bring in Grimes, bring in Deuce, do a couple of things, So I've never been crazy about Tibbs rotations last season. So we'll see. Like I said, tonight I wanted Fournier to have more burn. And also I wanted him to do something about Kemba getting lit up. He just waited way too long, and he played too many minutes. Kemba, D Rose was on fire. Let him play a few more minutes, or give some more minutes, more than 4 seconds. This thing about Grimes, bringing in Grimes, and now Deuce for that 4-second thing. He did it to Grimes, I think, twice already this season. He brought him in for something like that. So.
Yeah, I think he's doing it because he's trying to find a way to not get caught up like he did with Frank, where he brought Frank in a situation where he wasn't too familiar with. He wasn't doing that in the regular season, bringing Frank in cold and putting him on, players like a Trae Young. So I think he might be trying to make sure that McBride and Grimes are staying ready, because you never know when your number might get called, then they might need you to go in and be that defensive stopper. So I'm thinking Tibbs is doing this so throughout the season they're getting a little bit more comfortable being in that role. So if he does have to go that route in the playoffs, it's not like it was last season where Frank hadn't played in weeks, if not months. And then he said, "Hey, go out there and try to
That's not.
shut down the best
Yeah,
point guard
exactly.
that
So
we
that's
could be
asking
facing
too much. You can't come in
in the
cold and
playoffs." Yeah.
try to do that too. So that wasn't fair for him. But that's the NBA. So, but he
Hmm.
looked terrible in that thing. But and the strange thing about tonight, we only have 12 turnovers, which is fantastic. For the game. So it's not like we had
But
a
look how many points they scored off our turnovers and compare it to the points we scored off theirs.
great point. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the
Uh,
last time I checked before halftime, it was 11-5. I'm not sure what we ended with though. I was
yeah.
checking throughout the game. I can pull it
Either.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the fact that we're not giving up a boatload of turnovers. That's always a positive. But
Yeah. That's exactly. We only had 8 fast break points, and it was like we had 38 fast break points the first 2 games where we saw that transition. Nothing. It was like, so we went to ISO tonight when it was like we took a step back, like,
we only
yo, what
had
do you?
8 fast break points
I just said that.
compared to their
Yeah.
12. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Meaning we only had 8, but we had 38 the first 2
Hmm.
games. So it's like, yo, we had, yeah, we had, yeah, exactly. So those are the things, and points in the paint. We had more points in the paint than them, but you can understand that. And they had more second chance points. The first 2 games, it was weird that we had better offensive rebounding, but the first 2 games, it was basically Mitch was the only person offensive rebounding on this
Hmm.
team. I think there was
That's usually
only.
how it is.
I know, but it was like crazy. He had 5, and I think there was only 2 other offensive rebounds for the whole team, other than Mitch.
Hmm.
So it's like, come on, man, we got to be banging those boards and stuff
Yeah,
like
in
that
preseason with no Mitch, we were one of the worst in offensive rebounding. That's why I wanted Mitch to come back as quickly as
as
possible.
quickly as
That's not going to
possible.
bode well. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, we'll get killed, man. We'll get killed, meaning when the games count.
man. I thought we had to win too. When we grabbed that lead, I thought it was over, but no.
Well, we had an opportunity to step on their throat, man, and take them out,
Hmm.
and we didn't. We didn't do the killer. We didn't take them out, man,
We
when
didn't
we
have
should
that
have.
killer instinct,
Didn't have the killer instinct
and
because we
that's why
thought they were
sometimes
going to
I
fall
say,
down.
yeah, sometimes that's why I say I don't know if Julius Randle is going to be that player to bring us to the promised land as him being the best player. I still think we need someone else that can kind of step in games like this where Julius Randle decides he wants to be a hero and kind of calm things down. I hoped Fournier could have kind of been that player, get you some quick, get you some easy baskets, so that way Julius Randle isn't out there stressing and putting up bad shots. But Tibbs didn't even want to go towards Evan Fournier to see if he could give us that kind of spark.
I know. Like I said, no different than Ross. All it takes is one to go in the fourth, and boom, he's hot. We saw what he did, hitting those 3 threes against the Celtics in the overtime. Fournier, give him a chance, but like you said, it was like he's giving Burks to burn. And this is early in the season, so it's like, come on, man, let the guys get into a rhythm. You're changing stuff up. Like, come on, it's still too new. Stay there. Let him get into the rhythm, man.
Yeah,
And
they're still learning how to play with each other. And Fournier and Julius Randle, they're starting to build a nice little
beautiful,
two-man
a
game.
nice rapport between them. Exactly. So that's why I'm saying,
Yeah.
come on, come on, come on, come on. And it was like, so I'm like going with Tibbs, man. What's going on, man? So Soulfinger says, live by the 3, die by the 3,
Not by
along
the
with,
three. Yep.
yeah, along with Terrence Ross going unconscious on us or going normal on us. It seems. Got to hustle. They out hustled us. They embarrassed because we stomped the. Yep. Couldn't say any better, Soulfinger. So, yep.
Yeah. I
We
just don't
thought they
like
were
the
going to
fact.
just lay down and die. No. So
Yeah.
that, shout out
And
to,
then
like you
Julius
said, Jamal
Randle thought,
Mosley.
yep, pretty good defensive coach. And it seems like Julius Randle thought he could punk Wendell Carter Jr. And when he didn't back down, Julius Randle said, "Okay, I got to make an example." And unfortunately, it wasn't his night to really be that the driving force behind us offensively. And if he was going to be that driving force, it wasn't going to be with his shots and putting up and making a lot of shots. It was going to be finding his teammates out there, and that's something he didn't do, unfortunately. I
Yeah.
like Julius Randle when he's averaging 5, 6 assists per game, because now he's getting his teammates involved as opposed to just looking for his own shot.
Yeah. I wonder if everything's all right with RJ. He just looks real. He's not animated. He looks real quiet. He hasn't really turned on the offense so far this season. He had 19 in the first game and 7 the last game, and he had 12 tonight. So, but he just doesn't look like he's into it as much as I thought. Doesn't he seem a little like just doesn't seem like there's fire in him yet? He's just real quiet.
Could be the start of the season, and also could be the fact that he's expending a lot of energy going out there and trying to lock up the opposing team's best perimeter threat. So that's why, as I've been analyzing the season and looking at his role, I was perfectly fine if he's not able to increase his points per game. What was it, right around 17.5, if I'm not mistaken? A lot of people wanted to see him become a 20-point per game scorer, but if he's taking up that additional responsibility of locking up the opposing team's best perimeter player, then I'm fine with him not necessarily having high offensive output, as long as he's locking up who he's guarding. And unfortunately, we didn't see either or in that fourth quarter. We didn't see him come alive much, and we saw Terrence Ross go out there and drop 22. So if we're not going to see RJ Barrett drop 20, we're going to have him hold his matchup to a game like we saw Jason Tatum have in game 1. If he's doing that, then that's perfectly fine. That might be a reason why you're not seeing as much fire, him being exhausted. I know it's still the beginning of the season, but to go out there and have to defend a Jason Tatum and to have to guard, the Magic don't really have players that are really going to make you go crazy out there defensively, unless you're Cole Anthony, defended by Kemba Walker, apparently.
Yeah, in fact, D Public Enemy, shout out our friend. To the Knicks fans who said Cole Anthony is a good point guard, Anthony isn't a threat. How do you feel about him now? And D Public Enemy, we said earlier, as a New York guy, loved it with Halliburton last year. I love when a guy comes back and says, yo, man, every time I face you, I'm going to light you up. I love a play like that. I love a player that says all the teams that passed on me in the draft, I'm going to light them up. So, yep. So,
yeah, I like this one. Craig Mack is saying, why do we have a point guard if Randall's going to handle the ball so much? Yeah, I don't understand it either. I understand if the offense flows through Randall at times, but when Derrick Rose is out there, the offense flows through Rose a lot. It's when Kimba's out there with the starting unit, you see it kind of flow through Julius Randle. And I prefer us having the offense flow from the perimeter, being a point guard, either Kimba or Derrick Rose, as opposed to Julius Randle playing that point forward role. I think sometimes, like we see today, Julius Randle does not make the best decisions. He can get caught up in those individual matchups. There was a couple times in transitions, I said at the beginning of the show, where he was getting up and down the court. He wasn't even looking to pass. He was just trying to be a freight train. I know everybody is trying to say his game they're trying to liken his game to Carmelo, but let's be honest, Carmelo was a black hole. So he was an offensive threat, yes, but when it comes to winning, Carmelo's style of play wasn't conducive to championship. So I like the fact that Julius Randle is able to create for himself off the dribble and has that offensive repertoire, but he still has to, there goes the flash. He still has to operate within the flow of the offense.
Yo, it ain't a broadcast without my guy kicking that thing out. So it's like, right? Folks, this is a test of the emergency broadcast system. In the event of a natural emergency, we'll tell you where to go for Sports 5 TV. So yeah, I'm with you, man. Yeah. So this'll bother me. This loss, like I said, great team, good teams beat bad teams, and consistently. So when you look at the
key on consistently,
you look at Utah, and you look at a lot of teams, they just don't lose to bad teams, and you want that type of thing, man. But also, like you were saying, and chat and SV Nation. Did you feel it too? It's like saying, "What the hell's going on, man? Is this deja vu?" They're playing ISO ball. Randall, what are you doing, man? And like some of our fam said, it's taking others out of the sink. You don't want guys just standing around and doing stuff like that. And also, I'm old school. If the shot's not going, drive to the hole and get fouled. And then get those easy shots. Clyde always talks about that. So come on, man. Yeah.
Let's see. May 4th, back to back played a part. I mean, it was a back to back, but it wasn't really a back to back. It's more of a home and home. That's what they call it, right? A home and home.
Yeah.
You do a game Friday, and then you travel. You get a break day, and then you play the following day.
Yeah, but
So,
you said about the travel, the way they travel with the plane they have from Orlando. That's only a couple of hours in luxury. They're not going West
yeah,
Coast. There's
with their feet up, caviar,
caviar. They don't
champagne.
have champagne, all that good stuff. So they have all that good stuff and a quick 2-hour flight or so for them. So there's no time change. There's nothing. So this should have been a non-entity for that part. And also, you're playing home. You're playing home where your fans love you, man. You should be amped. There should be somebody screaming, man, let's get this shit together. We can't play like this tonight. We cannot lose this game in front of our fans. So nobody was screaming like that on our bench tonight, man. Meaning you want a player. You don't want, the coach is always going to be screaming, but you want a player calling everybody together. Come on, man. So, but with Ross and everything, when I see that, I think about my glory days of, Oakley and Mason and stuff. When somebody's going off, man, you got to try to get in their head, hurt them on a foul, crack them on a foul, get them cranky, let them get in your face. Just try to get in their head, get them off their game somehow. We're not playing physical the way I like us to, like a team to play physical, man. So we'll see. Hey, Boost Mobile says we need Rokas. You know something? We need somebody putting our guys in the right position. You're right on target, man. We don't want ISO. We want we want ball movement. So that's what I was saying. It was one thing that I hope that he's stressing is let's get back to not last year. We'll get back to where we're going. That I'm glad we're taking more 3-pointers, but we got to move that ball around. Michael, why is the emphasis on only 3-point shots? Why are players only running to the corners and standing in the corners? Why no emphasis on more efficient shot selection in the 2-point range? Michael West, I agree with you. Earlier I made the comment about mid-range. That mid-range opens up so much, man. We have to have a mid-range too. If we're just chucking threes, it's not going to, especially if you're not hitting threes. Then all of a sudden,
they had a better shot breakdown this game, though. I think the first game they had about a 50-50 shot breakdown between 2-pointers and 3-pointers. The first game against the Magic, it was about 40-60 for the most part in terms of percentages.
It was about the same. It was 52 twos, 48 threes tonight.
Yeah, tonight, but I'm talking about yesterday. I mean, not yesterday, Friday. Friday, they went crazy. I think they shot about 10 or 15 more threes than they did twos.
Yeah, they did.
So the fact that they had a better split this game, I think was positive. It's just the fact that we weren't knocking down any of our shots, twos or threes. And I think the reason they're trying to emphasize the 3-point shot is they're just trying to adjust to the modern NBA. I think last season you saw a lot of teams kind of ran away with the 3-point shot. We weren't able to kind of keep up with them with those high pace, high power offenses. And I think Tibbs is trying to make that adjustment. We keep saying Tibbs needs to make adjustments, and it seems like he's trying to actually do that. So we're focusing more on the 3 and also high efficient shots, high volume efficient shots in the paint, as opposed to trying to operate in the mid range. Because I guess based on analytics, they're saying teams are trying to move away from the 2-pointer. But the thing is, we're seeing time and time again that shot is still extremely important. So Tibbs is going to have to find a way to incorporate the threes, try to get us to finish with more efficiently in the paint and still have players out there in positions to knock down mid-range shots and be a team where we can attack teams at all three levels.
But I think we're gaining some insight that part of me before the season started is like, he's really adapting to the new NBA, having this new 3-point mix, a higher mix of 3-point shots. Now I'm saying to myself tonight, nah, all along he knew Kemba's defense. that the only way that we're going to have a shot this year is to have more points on the board, because if we score 107 points like we did last year with Kemba now, our guard, we're not going to give up 104 like we did last year with Kemba. So if we're only going to score 107, then we're going to be giving up 114 with Kemba. So we better be scoring a lot more. So we better score. So what went from, he's adapting to the new NBA is now, no, man, we got to shoot more threes. Kemba's not going to, we got to score points because Kemba's going to be giving up a whole lot of points versus Alfred.
Yeah. Hopefully, though, Kemba can get it together, or we can kind of do some kind of scheme.
He'll get his offensive game.
I don't know if this is going to last long term.
Yeah, his offensive game will get better, Kemba, but defense, he's going to get just lit up constantly. There's just nothing he's going to be able to do on defense, and we're seeing that, man. They're taking him. He made Cole Anthony look like all pro, man. Like all NBA, and also forget about the 3-point shooting. That happens. They're just taking him to the hole at will. He can't do anything. So I think he's going to get better offensively, hopefully. But I think the defense, what we saw, folks, I think that's what we're going to have this season with him at that point. So that's why I'm saying either, it's going to come a point where Tibbs is either going to say, I got to give, it's going to have a chain reaction. If he says, you know what, Kemba's hurting us, I got to put D Rose on the first team, then he's killing the second team, because the second team desperately needs D Rose quick, and Obi. D Rose unlocks the second team. So now if Kemba goes to that second team, don't think he's going to have not only the same impact on those players, he'll get eaten up. So I think that I want to see how long it takes Tibbs to go to a Deuce or a Grimes to have him come in and say, hey, I'm a defensive minded coach. Kemba, I love you. You're a great guy, but you can't defend on an NBA level any longer. I'm glad
we might end up.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Foxy.
No, please. No, I was just saying that him taking charges earlier in his career is nice, but that's still not playing defense. It's just taking charges, and you're not taking charges on every play.
Yeah, I think what we'll see Kemba continue to start the game, because remember last season
with Peyton,
Tibbs was perfectly fine. Yeah, he was perfectly fine starting Peyton,
but he was perfectly fine starting Peyton because he knew he sucked offensively, but there was going to be some consistency on him on the defensive front.
Yes, so I think he'll still start Kemba, especially as Kemba starts to get better or starts to find his groove offensively. But as the game progresses, we'll see Derrick Rose still with that second unit. We'll see Derrick Rose close. And then at times, if a player is kind of getting out of control or the game is getting out of hand, then we'll see him look down the bench and put in a Grimes or a McBride. I think that's how we'll see it. I don't think we'll see a moment where he'll elevate Derrick Rose into the starting lineup, demote Kemba, and then take Kemba's minutes away from him operating in the second unit by giving it to one of the young guys. I think we might.
But let me ask my brother a question then. If the next point guard that we're going against does what Cole Anthony did tonight, how long is Tibbs going to be patient with night after night the person Kemba guarding, just lighting him up?
I mean, but the thing is, you put Derrick Rose out there, he's still going to light him up as well. So if Kemba's offensive impact continues to get better as he gets more acclimated with this team,
where he can negate what he's given up.
Exactly. But then we'll see later on in the game, he'll go to a defensive substitution if things start to slip away. That's what I think Tibbs will do, because I don't see Tibbs Tibbs has, for the most part, seems like he's a player's coach now. He's looking out for the best interest of his players. Maybe not when it comes to minutes, but when
I
it
was
comes
about to
to
say not when it comes to minutes.
when it comes to how they appear to the media and how everybody views them, I think he's conscious of it. So I don't see him yanking Kimba, having that be a media story or a big hoopla and trying to change what's worked so well for that second unit. I think the second unit, our depth is really what puts us above some other teams that might be a little bit more top heavy. So I don't see him tinkering with that second unit unless he's forced, unless he has his hands forced.
Yeah, well, we're lucky that we're not going against Simmons, and the Pelicans don't really have much at the point guard position. So we'll see Lonzo with the Bulls. So
he had a triple double the other day too. That's my guy. I
yeah,
wish we would have signed him.
yeah, like we talked about, he is just the opposite of a D Rose type of player. He's more of the Kemba, what we talked about when we did our analysis a few weeks ago with the shot charts of being predominantly a 3-point. Lonzo's game is not getting to the hole. He shoots a lot of threes. Most of his shots are from three. So, but he's a big guy. He's very good on defense. And doesn't have his brother LaMelo's instincts for passing the ball, but he's still a good passer. And he's a young guy. So, yeah, I wouldn't have been upset. And what we talked about last week, that forget about the game tonight. We only have a 2-year plan at point guard, folks. We still don't have a point guard of the future. So hopefully that's why we're talking about getting Deuce some minutes. So we'll find out whether or not he's the man or whether it's the draft this year or something else. But we know it's only a couple of games in, but D Rose, we know if he can stay healthy, he's going to be fine. But I just don't know. When teams give up, meaning OKC and stuff like that, they just said, okay, Kemba, nobody lets guys walk out like that unless they're like saying, we did an analysis, we assessed his game, we looked at the kids, and there's just not enough in Kemba's game for us anymore. And we're on the hook for his contract. So we have
the crazy part.
We're on the hook for his contract, but you know what? Let's go talk about a payout, because even with him maybe being a mentor on the bench and everything, his game's just not there anymore. And we're not even talking about his left knee. That's the worst part, folks. We were so concerned about his left knee, the arthritis, and whether he was going to be able to cut and everything else. It's just, that knee indirectly may be impacting him, but he just can't defend at the NBA level anymore, this guy.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Tibbs does throughout the season to kind of give him some help. It's definitely going to be relying upon those wings out there defending while he's on the court with them. That's going to be RJ and that's going to be Evan Fournier. Definitely need them to step their games up, because they're going to be responsible with trying to rotate whenever Kimba's man eventually penetrates, kicks the ball out, and starts the ball moving, the ball swinging from side to side. So we'll see.
One of the points I made in one of our last shows was that Tibbs really likes Quickly. He likes his being a gym rat. He just likes the kid a whole lot. And there's a lot to like about the kid. He likes
hard workers.
He likes hard workers. But he's a winner. And as much as if you're not doing what you're doing, and I made a comment last week that he shot 24% quickly in the summer league, shot 33% from 2-point, from field goal percentage, which is terrible. Then he shoots 28% in preseason and shoots 33% basically again from 2. So it's like, this guy was supposed to be a good shooter. It's not happening. Didn't shoot well the first couple of games, had a better shooting game yesterday, the previous game, the second game, but then came back today. And I said last week, I'm giving a 10-game timeline. If he doesn't turn it around in 10 games quickly. So the second game, he put up a bad 3 and he got yanked real quick. He didn't come back quickly. And then tonight he got yanked again. And so what I said last week, I wonder if it's going to come to fruition, folks, SV Nation in the chat, that if he does not get his shooting going by game 10 quickly, ladies and gentlemen, I would not be surprised if Grimes starts getting the minutes because he's going to shoot that three just as well. And he's going to play better defense and he's going to be crashing the boards better. So, he has officially 7 games in my brain to get his game going quickly, or it's Grimes time.
Yeah, I mean, we said that before the season even started. We knew it was gonna be very competitive for minutes, and we were already seeing that Tibbs is not thinking twice about putting either Grimes or McBride in. So he's definitely gonna have to fight for his minutes, and hopefully he's not experiencing a sophomore slump. I mean, it's still fairly early. You wouldn't want to say he's having a slump as already, but we saw last season RJ
Yeah.
Barrett had a similar slump, and then he was able to break out of it and had the best 3-point shooting performance of his career. So I'm not too concerned with IQ. I just think IQ is going to have a lot shorter leash than RJ Barrett did.
Yeah, because one's a number 3 pick and one's in the 25. Said a number 3 pick, you're like saying there's a reason he was the 3 pick. He'll get out of it. But the 25th pick, and especially if you get a kid in practice like Grimes, you're like saying, "Come on, quickly, get it together, quickly." And pretty soon he's going to IQ coming into the office, son. I'm going to have to play Grimes. Keep working hard in practice and next man up. But I don't know what's going on with you, but you're not hitting your floaters. You're not hitting your threes. And you're not setting the team up when you're in a point guard position. You're not, the team's out of sync. You're not doing all those elements.
Craig Back is funny. He's saying, "Nice knowing you, IQ."
Oh, he's so cool, man.
You think we'll move on from IQ? Put him in a package? I hope not. I think this team, as constructed, can be pretty competitive. And if you look at next offseason, there are some marquee players that will be available in free agency. So hopefully we can find a way to add to this team without having to give up some of our young pieces like an IQ, who I think could develop into something special.
Yeah, well, but if we give up an IQ or an OB or something like that, it's basically saying that we're going to go to the next level player that we're talking about. That this team is in desperate need of elite talent. We have one elite player on this team, and that's Randall. And then you have RJ, who's a very talented young player, but he's several layers down from elite. And you have Mitch, who, they have potential, but they haven't realized that potential. The only one who's done it now, hey, second team All NBA, we've talked about, how hard that is. So props to Randall. And he's already, even like we said, he had a terrible night tonight. He scored 30 points, grabbed, he was highly inefficient, but he still lit it up. So Dan Marrero says, "Hey, Foxy, I know that you're concerned about RJ, but he's only 21. Let's look at the journey Randall had to go through." Hey, I agree with you. And I think Keith touched on it, that maybe some of the issues he's oh my goodness, ladies and gentlemen, we are being blessed by the Lord, the one, the only, the man, the myth, the legend, and one of my best friends, ladies and gentlemen, JD.
We got a video bomb. JD, what's up, man?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Are you in your Palm Beach? I see the background.
Mansion.
You're in your Palm Beach condo.
Well,
man.
I had
JD
to
has a
pull up.
viral moment and he's moving on up.
Yeah,
to the east side.
I had to pull up to the condo because after tonight's loss, man, I had to feel good, so I switched it up.
I hear you. It was a brutal loss, my guy.
Yeah, I was just coming off Knicks Fan TV, and I'm always supporting you guys. So it's a tough night. So I just wanted to jump on for a few minutes and just hang out with you guys.
Yo,
we were crying. We were in tears.
Yeah, it was tough, man. The chat was going crazy on Knicks Fan TV. Everybody wants to trade the whole team, and
really?
it's yeah. I mean, you know how it works, Keith. You get these you get these tough losses, especially early in the season, and especially against an opponent like the Orlando Magic, which, I would say there's really no excuse to lose to a team that, who knows how many wins they're going to get. They'll most likely be a lottery team. And, you lose to a team like that at home after the performance that they had the last game on the road, then you come back at home and lose in that fashion. It's tough. It's tough to explain it. You have to go on air. It's tough to explain it. But the best explanation that I can get, listen, man, you look at that box score, nobody had it. Nobody was making shots. I will say that if you had to ask me, some of my disappointments, I would say with Tibbs, I would start with Tibbs, being in that, as I was saying on Knicks Fan TV, if you look at the end of the game, now we can be upset about the first 3 quarters or the first 3.5 quarters, but at the end of the day, whenever you have an opportunity to win, you kind of evaluate what happened then. And at the end of the day, we had an opportunity to win there. And I just didn't like the way that we ended the game, just forcing it through Randall. I know he had great stats for the night. And fantasy players, they're happy with his performance because he gave you 30 points. He gave you over 10 rebounds, steals, assists, and all that. But in terms of efficiency and impact on winning, I don't think this was his greatest night. And, if I'm Tibbs, I'm looking at that and saying, well, why don't you just end the game with Rose? Why don't you run the offense through him? He was 5 of 8 from 3. Rose is proven so far to be a very good 3-point shooter all the way from last season going into this season. There's been debate about who should be the closer at that position. I think Rose is quickly, shutting that debate between him and Kemba. I think you have to close games with Derrick Rose. So I just didn't like the way that, we coordinated to end the game. I wish we would have just died with Rose. At the end of the day, he was flowing and he was shooting better. And then, I even brought up on Knicks Fan TV, hey, if you're Tibbs, throw Grimes in there for 5-10 minutes. When you tried, you try Fournier, you try Burks, you try RJ, all 3 are not shooting the ball well, right? And then you have a player like Ross. And when you look at a guy like RJ, who I have high expectations defensively this season, he's going to struggle against players that are shifty, that can come off screens, that are faster than him. So I would have not mind throwing Grimes out there for 5 minutes, try to get some, some type of spark club and try to get some defense in there. But it's a tough night, man. And these are some of the nights that you start to see what this team needs long term when you start to look at becoming a championship contender, because at the end of the day, Julius Randle is our best team in this roster. So there's a lot of ways you can look at it. But to me, I just didn't like the way Tibbs finished the game, just forcing it to Randle. That's what I thought.
Preach. We feel the same way. What's your thoughts on Kemba?
Kemba, I mean, I've said this, that there's gonna be nights, and this is what you're gonna get with a guy in this point of his career and with the knee and all that stuff. Like last game, I thought last game he was active defensively. I think his peak defensively is decent. I don't think you'll ever see solid or great. I think the most you can get out of Kemba defensively is decent. And last game, I thought he was active. This game, he was a little bit out of it. And so it's early. I want to give him some time, but you see some of the limitations, you see some of the challenges, you see that he may not be what, some of us want him to be, right? Like we want him to be Charlotte Kemba. And I don't think you have that yet. Now, Tibbs may have to adjust in terms of the role he's going to carve out for him in terms of minutes. Can Kemba be a 30 or 25 to 30 minute guy and be effective? If he can be effective for 18 or 20, then that's the role you can carve out for him. So I think there's still some transitioning happening between figuring out how can we maximize Kemba. Is it going to have to be managing his minutes, giving him a short dose and let him expand all his energy during that short dose? Or will he turn it around and maybe surprise us and show us more? But defensively, it's going to be a challenge all season. And that's why I think, Mitch is so valuable to this team. And maybe we're missing Noel right now because Tibbs wants that 48 minutes of rim protection. And tonight, the Obi Randle lineup didn't work. It did not work for them defensively. We saw when Mitch got hurt a little bit, he had to go back to the locker room. Look at what happened right after Mitch got hurt. The Magic went and they attacked the basket. when you look at going forward, when teams evaluate the Knicks, there's no Noel coming off the bench. So when Mitch is off the floor, teams are going to attack the Knicks on the paint. So, and if Kemba's not playing good defense, your Tibbs, you're going to have to figure that out.
Yeah, our guards can't keep the opposing guards out of the paint. And like you said, if Mitch is not in there for that help defense, it's going to be a Swiss cheese, like Clyde said, Swiss cheese D.
And that's why I think, part of the adjustment that Tibbs is going to have to make, and they've already, they've proven that so far, is, the way to counter that is you're going to have to, be more effective offensively, because they're going to play Kemba. So there's no discussing if Kemba's going to be completely, benched or anything. You're going to play Kemba. When he's on the floor, you're just going to have to, you have to put Mitch on the floor with Kemba. So that's the one thing. You must have a shot blocker. If you're going to go Obi and Randall, I think you have to either put Rose out there or figure something else. You can't have Kemba out there and then the rest of the lineup is weak defensively as well. You must have rim protection, kind of mix and match. And let's see what happens. I think that's why they're shooting more threes. They're kind of trying to be a little bit more offensive, because this is not last year's team. And you just hope that Kemba can improve. But tonight, there's so many players that didn't show up. So you got to bounce back Tuesday, man. National TV game against the Sixers. We have a great week next week. We have some nice matchups against, the Sixers on Tuesday, and then you're on the road against the Red Hot Bulls. So let's see how they do next week. If they have a good week next week, I'm sure you guys will have a better show next Sunday.
Yeah, well, Saturday we play the Pelicans, so I think that's absolutely a game we could win. And but the first two games, I'm looking forward to seeing the 76ers. And it's old rivalry. I want us to be hungry after this loss. Let's see what shows up, man. And what's your thoughts on RJ, his first three games?
RJ has I think he's been slow offensively. I think we've all seen that he's struggling a little bit, trying to find himself within this offense. I thought that I thought that he would actually be maybe the second option going into the season. Starting out, I think they were going to see if he can be that second option. And when you have Fournier have a game like he had at the Garden, and Randall, I think he's trying to figure out his rhythm. I have confidence that in terms of shooting the three and shooting the basketball, he'll be fine.
Me too.
From a standstill shooting standpoint,
catch and shoot.
Yeah, from that standpoint, I think he'll find his rhythm. He went through a similar rut last season where he had that 4 or 5 game stretch, and he couldn't hit anything. But I personally have high expectations for him defensively, and I was disappointed in his outing tonight because Terrence Ross has 22 points in the fourth quarter. And I know Terrence Ross is like a Jamal Crawford. He's like a J.R. Smith in that he can get red hot. And chat, you can, check it out throughout the season. When you're playing a team like the Orlando Magic and, these teams, whoever they, when they get wins, go check that box score. I'm pretty sure Terrence Ross will be a guy that has a good game, because when you see upsets against bad teams, you usually have one of those streaky players. They have a good game, and he went off for 22 in the fourth. I was disappointed in his defensive outing. I want him to be strong defensively, even when he doesn't have it on offense. I think he did that against the Celtics. He had a tough first half, and then he came back in the second half. And I believe it was 19 points that he ended up with. Listen, you could look at it different ways. I think the way you evaluate RJ is based on your expectations, right? Like if you're of the ones that was expecting superstar RJ, franchise RJ, you're probably killing him tonight. And if you're the ones that, like me, I was looking at a 1 or 2 point per game improvement, but I'm really hard on him this season defensively. And there's no excuses. I'm holding him accountable for tonight. He did not bring it. I thought that if even him having a tough night offensively, if he would have locked down Terrence Ross, probably win that game. And it goes beyond
conversation. But he goes beyond Terrence Ross, don't you think? Franz Wagner, the rookie, the last 2 games lit him up too. Backdoors from 3. So it was a combination of Ross and Wagner that basically the last 2 games that he didn't shut down.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's all around. Looking at obviously the matchup with Ross in the fourth is what stood out to me because of the 22 points. But yeah, you're absolutely right. All around, a couple of disappointing defensive games. And that's what I'm saying. I'm looking at it from a defensive standpoint. So based on that, you have Tobias Harris on
Coming
Tuesday,
up. Yep.
and
Averaging
so
21 so far for the season.
right. And Tobias Harris had a great game against Kevin Durant in a losing effort. So RJ needs to get rid of this game and because we need him defensively, I was talking about bringing Grimes in for a little bit and benching RJ. I think that's enough accountability there, pulling a number 3 overall pick for a late first round pick, game 3 of the season. I thought Tibbs could have looked at that to kind of throw a little bit of a curveball to end the game. But he has to come back on Tuesday and hopefully he has a strong game. I'm not crazy concerned with RJ for the simple fact that we've seen kind of this before where he has a little bit of a rush stretch and then he comes back and he has a good game. He always tends to still give you some rebounds, some assists, a steal here and there. He just has to kind of start to just turn it around here quickly soon.
But he showed, like you said, how resilient he was from what he came back from last year, the shooting woes at the beginning of the season. A lot of guys would have packed it in. He's a tough kid and he'll come around. But like you said, the whole thing that's the big difference is the exhaustion of trying to cover that top defender and then say, all right, I got to have my offensive game. So he went scoreless the first half in the first game, came back with 19 in the second half, but then 7 last game and now 13 this game, 12 this game. And for us to have, we cannot have him scoring less. If we're going to have, talk about seeds, making the playoffs, folks, we can't have him scoring 7 points. We need him to be consistently on a bad game scoring 16. On a great game, he's scoring 20 something else. But really a bottom line for RJ, we need him every night. And like you said, I think it was a great point that you made that maybe what's going through his head, he didn't have those feelings with Bullock here, but with Fournier now, what am I? I know Randall, and now Fournier, and now with Rose, what am I, the 14th option on this team?
Yeah. No, and that's what I'm saying. Like, and as you mentioned, in terms of his starts, there was a little bit of a theme last season too, where, he wasn't really having that defensive assignment every night. Some nights he did, but it was mostly Reggie Bullock's assignment. And he still had some, many games where the first half he just was trying to get off to a quick start. So I think it's a little bit of a combination of he has to correct that. But there's also going to be some exhaustion to now being the guy defensively. And as we mentioned, next week he has Tobias Harris. Right after that, he's probably going to guard DeMar DeRozan. You know what I mean? So this is it's
the worst part is if he doesn't, DeRozan is averaging 21 and DeRozan is averaging let's see 21.3 and Zach's averaging 26.7. So yeah.
and listen, that's why it's so what we do, Foxy, it's tough, right? Because you want to have perspective on things, but then you also see the reality that this is what it is the NBA, right? We see how many times rookies get baptized and they're thrown into the fire, and we've seen a guy
got baptized today.
Yeah, right. You see a guy like Scotty Barnes, he's a rookie and he's out. Scotty Barnes is defending the best player every night, and he's responded well. So it's tough with RJ because, on one end, there's a perspective that he's only 21. And that's a reality, even though fans don't like to hear that on a tough night like tonight. I know that's not a comment that you guys want to hear. So I get that, but it's still reality. But then on the other side, it's like, so what if you're 21? You know what I mean? Like this is what it is. Like you're You're thrust into this role,
and this is his third year.
This is your third year, and you know, I personally am not expecting superstars. So for me, like I said, when I went into the season, I said, just give me 1 or 2 more points per game, right? So he had 17, so that's 18, 19 right there at the 19, 20-minute mark. Hit a little bit better on your free throw shooting, finish a little bit better, and just step it up defensively. I don't want 20, you know, some people are saying 25 points. I don't even need any of that. Just give me that, and I'm fine. And so because of that, you know, hey, I have, you know, you have to stick to your guns and say what it is. He is 21, and that's a reality. But this is the assignment that Tibbs, not me, I'm not coaching. This is Tibbs, this is the organization, this is RJ as well. Your role this year is going to be to continue to hit that 3 ball, improve your free throw shooting, and take that defensive assignment. So when he's not doing that, hey, it's going to be tough.
Well said, man. Exactly. And he's a critical part for our success. But I think earlier what you touched on is, I think Mitch is really the key to our season. The last 2 games, did you was with a hammy the game before, and then with the knee with Suggs? Were you lighting a candle like me, like, oh Lord, please, no.
Foxy, no. Every single time that it's gonna be, you know, I was telling CP this, it's gonna be a theme all season. Because I don't think it's just the way Mitch plays thing. You know, like
he's always on the ground,
right? It's just these.
He's on the deck all the time.
It's just these quirky things.
Nerve-wracking.
It's just Mitch, like, you know, like all these other big men jump, and Mitch jumps, and then when he lands, he's gonna land on someone's foot. You know what I mean? Like it's just things that you're not gonna avoid. And every time that he hits the floor, you're gonna be nervous. I was nervous tonight. You know, I'm thinking as soon as the commentator said that it was the foot that he hurt, he had the injury, I was like, oh no, you know, we're thinking the worst.
Oh no, I know.
You went back to my video, JD?
Yeah, I had to run.
The Jones fracture of the 5th metatarsal, as I say.
I had to run. I'm like, hold on, let me check the X-ray that Quis posted. I need to check that X-ray because, you know, we can't afford to lose him. And then you see after what the Magic did. They immediately attacked the basket. Yeah. And I think when you have a roster like this roster where you don't have a Giannis here, we don't have a Luka, we don't have a LeBron, you know, we don't have a Dame, we don't have a Curry. Everybody's important. Even as deep as this team is on paper, everybody's important. But Mitch, to me, is the X factor, especially when you don't have the perimeter defense that you need against, you know, an NBA that gives you an elite point guard every night. You know, I was saying that, you know, even when we blew out the Magic, those are 2 first-round picks at guard between Cole Anthony and Jalen Suggs. And those are fresh legs. Those are fast legs. Those are talented athletes.
Hampton
we'll
too.
See. Yeah, and you know, Hampton, speed. So, you know, you're talking
even though he was
about,
bumming it today.
Yeah. And you're talking about, you know, this is what you're going to deal with all season. And Mitch is going to have a big role. And I thought Mitch, you know, I wanted us to win tonight because my perspective was going to be, well, do you think Mitch deserves $50 million? Because he's outplayed Robert Williams, and now he's outplaying the $50 million man for the Magic, Wendell Carter. But it's not, you know, in a losing effort. Who cares about that?
And he could be on his way to getting a 50 burger at the end of the season, right, JD?
Yo, 50 burger. Listen, chat. Shout out to Sports Vibes TV. Shout out to SV Nation. You know, shout out to the mods. You have great mods on this platform. And whoever's on the 50 burger team on this platform, stay the course. This is adversity. My grill wasn't working tonight. I was telling Knicks Fan TV there's no burgers tonight because the grill, I paid the bill, but the grill wasn't working. So I can't get it to work tonight. But maybe on Tuesday we'll get it to work. So stay the course. You know,
I was afraid you were going to come in with JD sliders instead.
Yeah, the mini burgers,
the mini burgers, folks.
Listen, man. Listen. I even tried the George Foreman grill, and it's still not working. So you know, the stove is not working, the grill's not working. You know, and the air fryer is off. Nothing. So I mean,
jump shots not working.
I'm gonna have to step out and eat tonight. But listen, man. You know, we're here. We're here for the tough night. So, but listen, I just want to say thank you to you guys, man. You guys run a great show. You guys have great mods. Boost Mobile, May 4th. Love
They're
May
wonderful.
4th. I see still Nick fans popped up there in the chat. Shout out to him, Dan Marrero, Greg, Rebuild NYK, Manchild, Boost Mobile, Michael West. All you guys, man. You guys do an outstanding job. That's why I wanted to pop in. I just did almost a 2-hour post game with Knicks Fan TV, and you guys are so great, man, that I'm having a blast here. So, just
Appreciate that,
wanted to give you
JD.
guys that shout out for sure.
Also, shout out to you for your meteoric growth. Doing your
Yeah.
thing. You got your own JD Sports Talk channel, booming. Also co-hosting on Knicks Fan TV, like you mentioned, and you're going viral with the 50 burger. So shout
I was
out
about to
you.
say going viral with that 50 burger, man, and
Yeah.
internationally, London, all over the place, man.
You know me, man. You got to stay humble for the rumble, man. So, thank you. But what we do is fan driven. And without the fans, without their support, we don't exist. We just out here talking to each other. So, shout out to the Knicks fan, Knicks Nation, Sports Vibes TV, Steven Fox, Inf, everyone, Knicks Fan TV, obviously, is I collaborate with them, CP, Ash, CK. We're a great team. We're a great team. We're a great community, part of the family. And so,
The franchise.
We want to keep it going, man. I'm a faithful listener of your show. And just because I'm on Knicks Fan TV, Keith, you and I still will work together and we still do videos. I popped in today. So, I enjoy being around your environment. You have a fantastic environment. You have a fantastic, base and niche on your end. So you're also growing too, my man. You're also growing
Slow and
too.
steady. We're doing our thing over here.
That's what it's all about, man.
Yeah, but
shout out to you, JD. Got it out the mud together. So I seen your hustle. I seen the work you've put in behind the scenes and in on camera. So everything good that's coming to you, you definitely deserved it, and you put the work in for it. So salute, my brother.
Absolutely.
Would you have that attitude if the Giants didn't win, though?
No, that's the only thing that got me this positive, man, is the Giants. It would have been a great night if the Knicks would have won. Now I'm looking at Monday like, man, I don't know if I'm going to wake up with the same energy. But hey, listen, man, we got to put tonight behind us. We'll continue to analyze it here as however long we have left on this show. Once the show cut off, we're on to Tuesday.
Yeah, but don't you think it was a healthy loss, though? To let us know we're not as good as we thought we were. Nobody's going to just lay down and just say, hey, this is the new Knicks, and they're going to, everybody's hungry, and it's like, it was a good piece of a humble pie for us to eat, to say, we don't have an elite roster. We got to out hustle. We got to come every day and play New York basketball. I didn't think we were physical enough today, but, I hate us to lose, but you know what? If you're going to lose, this is the type of game to wake us up and say, we can't have an off night, fellas. And worse, we can't ever have an off night at home like that. Our fans don't deserve that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
the price is going up.
Absolutely. It's a great perspective because, as I mentioned, when we won the first game against Orlando, you want to have these matchups early, right? Because, for a guy like Quickly going into that game, you want to face some of these weaker teams. I thought he had a tough matchup against the Celtics, and you want to kind of get into a rhythm. Now, he didn't respond tonight, but from a team perspective, you kind of want to go through some of these disappointing losses, I guess you want to term it, a little bit early, because in an 82-game season, you want to get hot at the right time. So I'd rather identify the issues now and see how we can adapt and adjust than in the middle or late. And listen, for the guys that, want perspective, let me give you some perspective here. Right? For the 50 burger bandwagon, a little bit of perspective for tonight. For those that want to jump out the window and want to just say that the season's over, or we're only going to be a 40-win team, or whatever the case may be. Tonight we lost to the Magic. But hey, the Hawks lost to the Cleveland Cavaliers. This is a game of human performance. It's not computerized. You have to go out there and play. You have the Hawks losing to the Cavaliers. Does that mean the Cavaliers are better than the Hawks? You have the Hornets beating the Nets. You have the Suns go out and smoke the Lakers. And then tonight, last night on a back-to-back, they get smoked by the Blazers by 29 points. So, sometimes early on in a season within the first 2-3 weeks. You see some of these upsets, you see some of these, wacky basketball. Teams are trying to get their rotations right. You got players in and out. And then you got teams that are able to get exposed early. Did we get exposed early? We'll see. But looking around the NBA as well, as me trying to put a positive spin on it, I'm going to bank on that. I have to. I'm on the 50 burger team, Foxy and Key. So I have to look at it from a positive perspective. So let's see how we respond Tuesday. I think next week is an important week for us because we play the Bulls and the Sixers. Let's see if we can split. I want to go 2-0. I want to get a little greedy, but you never know. So we got a tough week next week. I think it's an early test. We're going to find out a lot about this team early on.
See, JD, you mentioned that about the first couple weeks being screwy in terms of teams that are better losing to inferior teams. But I thought that was the whole purpose of Tibbs coaching every game like it's a regular
playoff
season,
game.
a playoff game.
Yeah.
So we hit the ground running, and we don't have these games where we're going up against teams like the Magic and not running them off the court. So that to me is what was demoralizing. Seeing that we played preseason, we played all our guys in abundance of minutes to get them into a groove, into a rhythm, and we come out now against the Magic, and we're seeing Julius Randle try to play hero ball once again, even though we went out there and we spent a boatload of money to bring in some talent to kind of make life easier for him.
And that's why I said, that's why I think Tibbs is going to be watched this year. And people are going to look at the way, and you have a lot of options. I mean, he tried it tonight where he went, the previous game against the Celtics. Well, the Magic, we blew them out, but the previous game against the Celtics, he closed with Fournier. Tonight, he didn't come to Fournier until like 3 minutes left in the fourth. He tried to go with
it was too late.
Yeah, he tried to go with a Burks RJ combo. I think what he was doing there was trying to look at a little bit more of a defensive presence and thought maybe he had enough offense. It didn't work. And when it doesn't work, you're going to get questioned about it, So, and like I mentioned, I thought that I would have preferred him go and run the offense 2 rows to end the game. He was 5 of 8 from 3. And he was the one that, when the Magic went zone, he came back to back, boom, 3, boom, 3. And he changed the Magic plans there. So why not just die with Rose when Randle doesn't have it? So I think even for Tibbs, it's going to be a little bit of a transition, but hey, it's going to be magnified. And you're right, Tibbs. One of my reasons for the 50 burger prediction was Tibbs, in the fact that he is going to coach every game like it's a playoff game, where other teams may be load managing or may take a night off. And tonight was a disappointing loss for sure.
Yeah. Hey, folks in the chat. Right now we have 77 people in the chat and we have 35 likes. So do us a favor. Please smash that like button. Please hit that subscribe. Please hit that all reminder notification bell so you don't miss out on any of the wonderful content our guy Keys puts out for Sports Vibe TV. And also, please share this link on your favorite social media platforms. And as JD said, last but not least, shout out to the best mods on the planet. We appreciate all you do.
Hit that thumbs up.
You guys hold me down. You guys hold me down, even though I pop up every now and again with the streams. I don't go with a strict schedule, but at least you guys know I'm here Sundays with Foxy.
That's why you got to hit that notification bell, because you don't know when Keith's going to pop up, man.
And once I get the website going, I'll be giving away tickets. So you're definitely going to want the notification bell turned on.
Ooh. And salute to you, because you gave me tickets to the Warriors game. I think you gave me tickets. So, you're gonna get good matchups too. It's not gonna be bum nights. It's not gonna be bum nights.
Yeah, I think the one I'm trying to give away is Scotty Barnes. You'll be seeing a rookie phenom.
Hey, I see in the background that grand piano. Are you playing any J Boogie on that? Some piano verses of the podcasting or the squad on piano?
Nah, he's got to send me the sheet of music. I got to look at the notes.
I was playing it earlier though. Those songs by J Boogie, both of them, podcasting, the squad, fire, yep, heat. All platforms that are streaming are ending their shows with it. And so J Boogie is a phenomenal energy, in our community. And you got some good songs there. It even makes it better. So,
Mhm.
you know, I'm definitely, I think I'm gonna need to play some of that music to end the night and get ready for
Yeah.
Monday, because Monday, you know how Monday is. We don't want to wake up on Monday.
Yeah.
But
Just
It's
everyone.
already Monday at this point.
Yeah. Folks, it's going to be J Boogie Presents Knicks in the Booth is going to be the name of the album that he'll be dropping around Christmas Eve. And we've heard a couple of tracks out of it. So you support our guy. And like you said, really love the tracks, man. And the squad is hot, man. I just love
and
that.
Greg, it is fake, you know, just so nobody, you know, it's a green screen. I don't have this type of crib, you know. I'm not Quis, you know what I mean?
Wait a minute. You've been lying to me.
I'm not Quis or Foxy. I'm not Quis or Foxy. I don't have the glander. You know, once I put that green screen down, it's just a regular, you know, regular apartment. But
what about the other place with the ocean view? That's not yours either? Yeah, I thought you were in Malibu or the Hamptons doing this show. Hold on a minute. Wait a minute.
I'm trying to I'm trying to, you know, imagine it. I'm using my imagination. You know, it's a tough night, so I'm like, okay, let me go with a nice let me go with something that I wish I could live in, just to give, you know, be a little delusional.
Ooh, hey, that's my middle name.
That's clever. That's nice.
Yeah, Ron, still Knicks fans. I hope all is well, Ron. J Boogie's a great dude. Always support and show your love. No doubt about that. In fact, folks, if you have any moving needs, make sure you hit up our guy, J Boogie, bettercaremoversnc@gmail.com. So bettercaremoversnc@gmail.com. So if you have any moving needs in the North Carolina area or in the New York, New Jersey area, going down to North Carolina, make sure you talk to J Boogie. He'll hook you up. And as Ron from Still Knicks fan said, you can't get better than our guy, J Boogie, man, or John the Mover, as other people know him.
as a caller said on the Knicks Fan TV post game show, hey, in order to get 50 wins, you got to have 32 losses. So this is one of 32, baby. Stay the course, guys. Stay the course. We got this. Now, if we start losing next week, then, you know, I might have to go ghost. I might have to disappear from the face of the earth. But, you know, for now, let's see. You know, let's see what happens next week. I think we'll have a solid week next week. At least 2-1. Beat the Pelicans.
We'll be facing stiffer competition. That's for sure.
You know, beat the Pelicans for sure, and then, you know, I want to get greedy, but at least split between the Bulls or the Sixers.
Yeah,
how about this? Speaking of, if you had to choose between the Bulls or the Sixers, right, and you had to split, which way would you go?
Philly.
Beat Philly or
beat Philly.
Or beat Chicago?
Beat Philly.
They ran out division.
Okay.
What about you?
I don't know, man. Just because the Bulls are hot, you know, they're the new flavor. Everybody's high on them, although they haven't beaten anybody. But, you know, and that game is on the road. It's tough because I see the argument for both, right? Like for the Sixers, for example, let's say we beat the Sixers. Is that going to be the Sixers team that we see at the end of the year? Like, we don't know, right? So
part of it will be
yeah, like I just, it's just hard for me because the Bulls team, we don't know where they're going to be, so that's another question. But that lineup, you know, is pretty, like, I expect Lonzo Ball to be the starting point guard, DeRozan. I expect, you know, Nikola Vucevic. Like, I expect a good portion of that roster to be the same. So maybe it's a better win now, you know, early in the season if we beat the Bulls on the road. But you know what? Maybe it's the Sixers because that game is on national TV. And I always want to win national TV games just because, you know, the mainstream media, the spotlight. I think it's tough, man. I think, you know, we get a split, but it might be the Sixers. I just like the Bulls matchup as a little sexier matchup.
You know who's been really like glue for the, like you said, they haven't really beat anybody, but Caruso is really playing well for that team. I think he's leading the league in steals. He's but it's always crazy. You know, we saw the kid Franz Wagner today. There's certain players that are not sexy, but they're glue players, that they're just smart players. They put the other guys on their team in the right spots. They don't make mistakes, you know, and Caruso's really helped that team. So a lot of people they signed Caruso to that contract. What are they, crazy? And it's only a couple of games in, but it's like, smart players are important for you to go to the next step. So when you have talent like a Zach and you have talent like DeRozan and you have Vucevic in the center and stuff like that, you need a player like that. And, now with Lonzo. So, yep. But I'm with Keith, man. The Atlantic Division. So I think Philly is the team that we want to, put our calling card in there and that we beat you. But they got shooters. They're a good team without Ben.
Yeah,
So that's
yeah. It's and Caruso is one of those glue guys that winning teams, championship teams would love to have. He's a very good defender. He's a smart player. He's a team player. So he's definitely a very underrated, solid addition. He's a meme legend on the internet. People love to make him out to be Jordan or stuff, and that's just social media fun stuff. But he's actually a really nice, solid role player. So that's why that game on the road is going to be tough. But I have a question for you guys, and it's also for the chat. I want some chat participation here. For tonight's game, who would you say? Right, you have Fournier 5 of 12, RJ Barrett. What was it? 0 of 5 from 3. Didn't play well. Wait. I'm looking at the wrong. I'm looking at the wrong box score. I'm sorry.
No, he was 1 for 7. He did shoot 14% from 3. Don't short him.
I'm looking at the box score. I'm looking at the box score for when we won. 5 for 17, 1 for 7 for the RJ. Fournier 3 of 11. Right. Randall, great statistical night, but 8 of 24 from the field. You have Burks 3 of 10. Quickly, who would you say was the most disappointing player tonight? From all the players, a lot of players have had bad nights. Who would you most disappointed in their performance tonight?
Tibbs.
Julius Randle.
Tibbs. Okay. I agree with you there for sure. Who you said, Keith?
I said Julius.
Ooh, well, I'm not surprised you said Julius.
But look, we went out there and we made
it's a great point. We regressed into ISO ball. What happened to that ball movement, man?
Yeah, we got some Kemba in the chat. We got a Randall. I know you look at Keith. You got a Randall.
We went out there and we spent all this money to bring Randall help, and he continues. At least in this game, he did not play team basketball. I understand you got this big contract. You had a great year last season, but I think you operate best when you're playing with help. I said it before the game. He can go out there, drop 30 and 10, but if he doesn't have help, we're not going to win the game, most likely. So for Julius Randle, I think he should be looking to get his shot, but also try to get your teammates involved, because at the end of the day, this team is not at that level where we have a singular talent that's going to will us to victories time and time again. So to see Julius Randle regress back to the ISO ball, where we thought that he kind of understood where he went wrong last season in that series with the Hawks. And right now, if he's going to continue to play that way, the only way we beat the Hawks in a matchup again is because we have Mitch, not because of how Julius Randle was out there performing offensively. We would have to rely on Mitch being a problem as opposed to Julius Randle getting his teammates involved. Because if he plays like this against the Hawks, we're going to struggle offensively, and we're going to have to shut them down, the Hawks, if I'm talking about if we're going to win.
And one of the things that we lucked out at is we lost this game. We lost and they only shot 28% from 3. Imagine if they had a good game shooting from 3. We would have got crushed.
No, and I have it the way I have it tonight is I have Tibbs number 1, I have RJ number 2, and then you have to have Randall in the top 3, regardless if it's unfair or fair, because he's your best player. So I have to have him number 3. The reason I have Tibbs number 1, I already mentioned it. When you see that your best player, who is not, we don't have Giannis here. We don't have none of these guys. So this is what it's going to be, right? Randall's your best player. You're going to go to him late in the game. But don't be afraid to go to Derrick Rose and kind of switch it up. Don't be afraid to adapt and adjust depending on how the rhythm of the game is going, how the feel of the game is going. Yes, he has 30 points. Yes, he just, had some great nights prior. But you got to say, listen, it's not working this way. We're probably going to get a positive play, even if Rose doesn't score, with Rose's passing, dribble penetration. So I just feel like there's more that can come out of Rose to end the game tonight. I'm not saying every night. Randall's your best player. I get it. But a night like tonight, I think Randall, to be a little bit fair to him, he's looking around and he's seeing Fournier 3 of 11. He's seeing, RJ 5 of 17, Burks 3 of 10. Yes, if he doesn't play well against the Hawks, it's going to be the same issue. But if everybody else doesn't plays like tonight, it's not even going to matter. So I have Tibbs number 1, RJ number 2, because not even offensively, as I mentioned, defensively, you can't have Terrence Ross having 22 points in the fourth quarter. You just can't. You're not going to win many games that way. So take the challenge defensively. I was disappointed there. And Randall number 3, just because of the fact that, hey, you're our best player and he's not going to say no, right? So if Tibbs even goes to him, even if it's Tibbs' responsibility, Randall has to answer to that. And he didn't late in the game. And for that, got to hold him accountable as well.
Yep. And we've talked about this off the air together about players making other players better, how important that is. And we've seen the maturation on Randall, and that, you can't do that ISO because you're hurting the other players. When you do that, you're not allowing them to get into a rhythm. And what we've talked about is, why, again, with Tibbs, why I was upset is like, yo, man, you saw Ross have nothing and then come to life in the fourth quarter. The same thing with Fournier. I think he played Burks way too many minutes tonight, and it's like saying, I really like the chemistry so far in the few games between Fournier and Randall. And that, give them a shot. And all it takes is 1-3 for Fournier to go, and then Fournier faking and giving it to Randall his shot. And all of a sudden, now the ball movement's there. And, and Keith touched on this. There's times, whether last year stuff where Burks, I think, hurts the ball movement. I think he goes ISO himself, over dribbles, and doesn't hit the right guys that you see that are open and stuff like that. So I thought Fournier, especially after the first 2 games, come on, man, play him. You're paying this contract, play him more. Play him in crunch time. Let him help you come back. And he's a shooter. Like we said, shooters will shoot themselves out of a slump. And not that he's been in a slump. He just didn't have it. But Burks didn't have it tonight either.
Right. And then when you go to Fournier late, like he did, sometimes it's too late.
Too late.
Now the player can't get in a rhythm.
Yeah, he's chilled. Exactly. The cooler came. You're chilled. So let's see. Tom agreed. Why was Burks out there when we needed Fournier? We made Anthony and Ross. And the thing I'm worried about is with New Orleans, they have Kira Lewis. So now we have people saying, I told you we should have drafted Cole Anthony. Okay. Look what we did. And now I'm worried that next Saturday night we're going to say, I told you we should have drafted Kira Lewis. Yeah. So, and Kira's lightning, so if you think Cole Anthony's fast, you haven't seen Kira Lewis play. So,
yep.
So it'll be interesting, but it's going to be a good thing for 10 games. The guys are getting their legs, they're getting to know each other and stuff like that. But we're going to see, it's going to be interesting to see, like you said, right now, I don't need to get to 10 games. Rose should be closing out every game. And not only because of his offensive game, he's just an all right defensive player, but his defensive game is at such a higher level than Kemba that I don't know how you can keep Kemba on the court in a closing, to close.
And that's why I didn't even have Kemba in my top 3 in terms of biggest, culprits of tonight, because, you just mentioned there should be no discussion. Rose should close the games, right? So that's already taken a portion of the game off of Kemba's responsibility, which means my expectations have to be adjusted about Kemba. I can't look at Kemba Walker just the name. I can't look at Kemba Walker, the homecoming and the New York. I like that. None of that matters anymore. You have to. I can't look at Kemba and go on YouTube and look at the Charlotte Hornets highlights. That's not the Kemba that's here right now. So my expectations of Kemba have to be tempered and adjusted. And for that, tonight he played 19 minutes. He goes 4 of 8 from the field. Like, is that the role he's going to have? Fine. He just needs to be better than Elfrid Payton. You know what I mean? So, you end the game with Rose. I don't think that they're ever going to play together on the court, because then the defense is
Oh
really
my
going to be
God.
challenged. So
They
then
won
that
together
means
one
right,
possession, and there was a
right,
bucket.
right, and that's what I'm saying. So you're going to have either one of them on the court. So if you're going to end with Rose, then you just need to figure out what's his role is gonna be, and just try to maximize the minutes that he has on the court. It's obvious the early identity of this team is that it's still Randall's team. I know there was some rumblings going into it because of the excitement of Kemba, in terms of what maybe they'll run the offense to Kemba. Maybe Kemba will be the high scorer. No, that's not happening. So I think fans need to I'd rather temper my expectations and be surprised and be excited later than set the bar so high for a guy that you have to be realistic, has certain limitations already. Even if Kemba was healthy, he has defensive limitations. So he's trying to get healthy now. So what do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, and look at how much we're paying him. Make your expectations based on what his checks are looking like. He's getting paid $8 million for this season. So look at other $8 million point guards, and is he outperforming them? If the answer is yes, then I'm fine with it. But he can't continue to be a defensive liability unless he's gonna give us a little bit more output offensively. That's my biggest thing. Try to be a wash. You can't go out there and drop. What did he drop? 10 points, and Cole Anthony breaks you off for damn near 30.
Yeah, and only 3 assists. Yeah. So yeah, you're right. I think it's going to be similar to Elfrid last year, that Tibbs is going to be stubborn. He's going to start him, but how long does he keep him in there? And I think the answer is going to be until, if the opposing guards are not lighting him up, then Kemba can play. But if they're lighting him up, it's going to be an early night for Kemba.
It's already an early night for Quickly. So
he's not hitting 2 points. He's not hitting floaters. He's not hitting threes. He's not putting the guys in the sets right. So, come on, man. We, like you said, we want Quickly to be successful, but he's not hitting bunnies. He's not hitting the long ones, and he's not, and defensively and stuff. So he's not playing quick.
Yeah, they're coaching him hard, and we saw that throughout Summer League, right? We saw all those footage, all those videos of Tibbs going right to Quickly right after these Summer League games, and they coached him hard in preseason. So, as you mentioned, Foxy, the organization definitely wants him to succeed. Part of him playing 12 minutes tonight is not them, not wanting him to play or not wanting him to succeed. It's just, he's in a system with a coach that, although the organization has given him the green light to shoot from the concession stand if he wants to, if you're going to shoot from the concession stand, you better make it. And if you don't, and then that is also transferring to the other side on the court, which that's the most important side to Tibbs, then you're going to have many more 11, 10, and 12-minute nights. So, it's one of those things where Quickly is just going to, sometimes it's tough love, man. And you got to step up. And, and I'm hoping that he gets it together. Again, you want to have a little bit of perspective, being that it is game 3 of the season. But with Tibbs, some of the criteria for Tibbs is not going to change. So he's going to have to start, to gather up some solid games here soon.
And as you know, because we talked about it, we wish it was just 3 games, but it was a Summer League, a preseason, and now 3 games. So he's not played well for a while, meaning he's not shot well for a while now.
It's been a stretch of games.
So it's really a stretch of 11 games if you count preseason, Summer League, and this. And then what we said, going back to last season, he was a very good shooter, but he wasn't an elite. He didn't shoot over 40% from 3. And while other guys who we did not consider elite shooters, Bullock and Burks and others, they did shoot over 40. So come on, Quick. If you're going to have that title and that moniker of being that type of sharpshooter, we know you can shoot foul shots, but that's not why you're here. But also, you can't miss gimmies, man. He missed a couple of damn bunnies tonight that were like, yo, use the backboard, or one of the shots was like, that's a bad angle. He's going to miss that shot. He missed it. It was like, yo, come on, man. So, but at that shooting guard spot, I'm telling you, Grimes is ready, man. I bet Grimes is going crazy in practice because he's like saying, "I know my time's coming. My time's coming."
Yeah, and let's see what spot it looks like it could be, at that, at
Shooting
that
guard.
range now. We've seen different lineups with Tibbs. We saw Grimes play the three. So I think, with the young players, I think Burks has some pressure there. Quickly, as you mentioned, has some pressure there. And as I mentioned before, there's many paths for Grimes to play than a McBride. We saw McBride play 4 seconds in a defensive matchup. But Grimes, Grimes could come in and play multiple positions. He might even come in and play the one, not on an offensive scale, but even coming in for a defensive possession. So, Grimes, it's funny how that's worked out, Foxy, because, going into it, and based on the summer league and the way summer league started, all the hype was on McBride, and McBride is going to be the first guy. McBride is going to be this, and how things change. Grimes had a strong end to summer league, translated it into preseason, and now even in the short little burn that he's gotten in the season, he's proven a lot of the stuff that you mentioned in our draft video, in terms of being NBA ready, in terms of being a gritty player, being savvy, and
Crashing the
even
boards.
yeah, crashing the boards, been a strong rebounder, and even he slightly surprised me. Now it's very small sample size, but Grimes has even surprised me in being able to adjust to some of the NBA speed defensively. You had mentioned that, his lateral quickness could be challenged early in the NBA with some of the athletes that he's going to face. But it looks like he's slowly, adjusting to even that. So, and we'll see what that looks like whenever he gets the opportunity to play extended minutes. But so far, man, you gotta be confident in the fact that whenever Grimes gets his opportunity, he'll be ready to contribute.
And he comes off cold and hits threes. We saw
Yeah.
that. That not a lot of people could do that. This kid comes out cold and boom, hits it.
So that shot he hit against Orlando, man, I thought it was Allen Houston shooting that.
I know that. So I'm like saying, yo, I like what this kid's made of, but it's funny. So we go through that thing saying, you know what? We've been talking about Deuce and it's Grimes, but if Kemba keeps this up, then I think Deuce is, I think a lot of it is like, if IQ doesn't do anything, then Grimes. I didn't think we take into the consideration. We knew that he wasn't going to be, that he has some defensive issues, but we hit, like you said, all of us maybe had too much Charlotte Kemba in our mind, and now we're seeing the reality of this Kemba, and we're like saying, damn, he can't keep anybody out of the paint. Damn, he's getting lit up. He's getting lit up. He can't keep any of the paint, and he's not getting out on the perimeter, stopping their threes. He's slow getting around picks. Wow. And yeah, he's still offensively, he showed a couple things, but he hasn't had a burst or anything. He's put up like 10 points or hit a couple of threes and stuff like that. But you're like, yo, so that's why
I don't think he's gonna get benched, Foxy.
I don't think he's gonna get benched, but I think what we
just Tibbs. He's gonna
he didn't bench Peyton. Exactly. He didn't bench fucking Peyton. Then what the hell is he gonna be doing here? But I think it'll be the same thing. He's just gonna keep that routine. That weird routine is weird. Just keep him there. But yo, if you got, let's see.
The most that could probably happen is like you mentioned, he'll play him in a Peyton role. I mean, obviously, let's see with many more games how Kemba responds. But yeah, like you can see them creating a path with maybe cutting his minutes and finding some creative ways to, either put in McBride or Grimes and stuff like that. Because, the Kemba name, he's guaranteed 2 years too. So, Peyton, there was no contractual obligation after, last season, into this season. And look how they treated him. I don't know what, if they bench him or something like that, what type of, I think this is what it's going to be. And this is why, hey, if you're going to be like that, then Tibbs, we're going to watch you. We're going to watch you. You have to figure it out. You have to adjust, and we'll see how that looks.
I'm just hoping, because he's such a defensive minded coach, that even with his nepotism and loving these guys, Defense is in his DNA, and him liking Kemba is one thing, but I can't allow my defense. Meaning, one thing is liking you, but he wasn't crazy about Peyton, but he's like, but I got the number one defense points. I got the number one against 3 points, so I can deal with Peyton because he's doing stuff that still maps into what I like.
Right.
But if Kemba's
and that's why he's going to be tested because
because Kemba's not going to be doing that.
Right,
he's not going to be mapping into his defensive love, and it's like saying, "Oh man, I love him as a guy, but he's not doing anything."
And that's what fans didn't like. Fans didn't like the whole Peyton thing. But as you mentioned, what many fans were missing was and they knew it was just frustrating. But Peyton was still giving Tibbs the ability to mix and match, to put him on a shooting guard one night, put him on a point guard another night, and you're not going to get any of that flexibility or opportunity with a guy like Kemba, who's 5'11" at best, and is going to be so I think you're just going to have to find a way to maximize him offensively and get some scoring punch from him, and try to even get him to create opportunities for others. You have to find a nice role for him and then see what you can do elsewhere. But you're right. If he doesn't do anything else, Tibbs is going to be tested because, as you mentioned, he's not giving you what the coach actually wants. So then what do you do? So we'll see.
Yeah. Hey, do us a favor. You have that magic. Talk to the SV Nation about likes, subscribe, and all that other good stuff. You have that magic to get those numbers up.
All right, guys, listen, we got to hit them thumb. You know how it is. In the words of CP, hit that thumbs up button for your boys, man. You guys don't understand, man. The likes really do help out the videos. It helps out the algorithms. And if you guys are enjoying the show, just give it a little thumbs up. We definitely appreciate it. And shout out to everyone that is still watching, man. A loss, 12:41 on Eastern time on the East Coast. This is why the Knicks fans, man, SV Nation, and all you guys are the best, because even in a losing effort, the passion, the commitment, it's bar none. And so just want to give you guys a shout out and shouting out George into the Knicks verse, who I saw pop up in the chat. He said he still hung over and he still happened to pull out a recap. So make sure you guys watch the video after you finish with us and you still want more Knicks content. Hit a little click to George. I'm sure he's gonna have a positive spin on it.
Fourth part of the syndicate, that's for sure. Exactly. Yeah, I talked to George earlier, and his voice was hurting. He did party hardy yesterday, and his voice was really out of it this morning. So
I can't I can't wait to watch your video, George, because I know you always make the Knicks community feel good. Even in wins we get hyped, and in losses you definitely put a positive perspective on it.
We're teachers, all of us, and stuff like that. You got to take the lessons from the loss. One thing is saying damn, we lost, but if you don't take the lessons from it, then you're really lost. So you can't get better. So you got to take those things. And like I said, it was a good thing on the chin. Like, fellas, we don't have that talent on this team where we can just turn it on. Like, if we don't hustle, we don't dive for loose balls, we don't sit those picks, we don't play technical basketball, fundamental basketball, where, we don't have that elite talent that can get us over that. So we got to do all that other stuff, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And now game's over. It's already Monday. And hey, 24 hours is Tuesday. TNT, Charles Barkley, Kenny Smith, Shaq. You're going to hear it. We got to respond and show them what this Knicks team is going to be about this season. And want to give a special shout out to Tom in the chat, Citizen X. Those guys were on the Knicks Fan TV chat, and they're definitely great supporters of Knicks content creators. So definitely want to make sure that you guys know I definitely saw you guys on the post game show, and thank you for supporting. And shout out to everyone else that's still watching.
Yeah. And again, shout out to CP, man. The franchise, great show. Just every show, man, you watch is like, he's so talented. a lot of us who do this broadcasting and stuff like that. We watch some people and you're like, oh my god. So I'm in awe sometimes, especially sometimes when he does the show by himself. I think he's doing stuff with his feet and everything is like, oh my god, he's bringing up videos. He's talking to this guy. He's taking callers. He's like, so, and also this year he showed his versatility with a snap of the finger. Like our guy JD went right into Giants talk. So he's a lot more than just talking about Knicks, folks. He's, there's a reason JD's show is called Sports Talk. He's not just Knicks. He knows all that stuff. He can talk to you about Yankees. He can talk to you about football. He can talk to you about whatever you want. And you know why? And we've talked about this passion, man. Sports means a lot in our life growing up as kids and stuff like that. We were able to channel sports with the stuff that growing up in New York and the craziness of life and everything, that sports helped us to where we are right now. If we didn't have sports, I don't know where we'd be.
And that's why it's so, we're so grateful. And when we shout you guys out, listen, we're not doing it as part of a script. You guys are our energy, man. Like, you're talking about CP. I was there for that pregame show at Mustang and Harry's at that venue, and what people just see when you click live and they see you on the screen. The fans, they only see that, but the work that content creators put behind the scenes before they go live. Quis and I talk all day. You and I, Foxy, talk all day, and I see the commitment that you guys put into it, the preparation. We got a life outside of this, and we have to juggle
you're
everything.
Wrong. Keys has no life. Keys works. He's up 24/7. Keys, you can send something at 3:00 in the morning. A second later, hey, what's up, Foxy? He's always up. He works all these jobs. He's putting all his content out.
Still Knick fans on the chat. He knows what I'm talking about. It's the Knicks versus on the chat. He knows what I'm talking about. Like, this is. You guys, the fans, really is not difficult to start the content, but to stay in it, that's when we need the fans. That's when we need the support. That's why we need the likes. That's why we need all those little things, because you guys are what keep us motivated and keep us going, because this is all passion. This is all heart. And it's 12:46 a.m. I could just be chilling, but here I am. Here we are talking about a tough loss. So,
but also the beauty is the education is that we do a lot, but we learned so much from the comments from the different people, that the relationships we built, where a lot of times we're looking through it. And I can't tell you how many times on the rewatch that we'll go through a show and we have all this happening. But after that, you sit down that night or the next day and you watch the rewatch, but the live chat, how many times I see people say something like, whoa, I wish I saw that during the show. That's a fantastic point, but I put it back up here. So we learned so much, the Knicks fans. And I've felt this from a little kid, that you go to a Knicks game and you see a guy come down the court and put up a shot. You hear the fans. They're so knowledgeable. Like, nobody's under the boards. What are you putting up? It's a bad shot. You can actually hear the fans, like a coach, say, yo, what are you doing? So I have such great respect for the Knicks fans, but we learn so much from you. So that's why it's a relationship. It's a mutual gratification society. We hope that we enlighten you and also entertain you in all the work that we do. But that goes back, you enlighten us with the comments and insight. Like, yo, you know what? I didn't think about that point. Thank you so much. So we love you, SV Nation.
Even in tonight's show, Foxy. Even in my points, I'm looking at your points and. I'm listening to you and I'm like, that's that's what we do back and forth.
And the favorite and JD's favorite point that I made all day today is that is about Sam Darnold.
Best performance for Jet fans. Listen, man, I know it was a tough loss, but go ahead, say it, Foxy. What you told
the best thing that came out of for the Jets loss today was Sam Darnold's performance against the Giants. So
so it's we're happy to be here, and we're all gonna be pumped for Tuesday, and we'll be right back at it, man. Shout out to Quiet Money. Just pulled up. Quiet Money, how you doing, man?
We love quiet money. He says, salute my friend. Hope all is well with you and your family. Tough loss. I think Taj threw our momentum off. I don't know about Taj throwing our momentum off, but if he only hit that elbow jumper, the game would have changed. So
and now we got to find a way to get Noel back, and it's gonna be interesting. We're gonna see what happens when he gets back, because we talk about the depth of this team. Well, when everyone's healthy, Tom Thibodeau is going to have some decisions to make already with who he has out, but already who's already playing. Do you make some adjustments? So I think this upcoming week is going to be, a little bit important for us. We have some tough matchups that is going to test our rotations, going to test our depth. It's going to test Kemba. We got some interesting matchups coming up. So even, Simmons is not playing, but for example, on Tuesday, Kemba's going to have to contend with a young up and coming guard like a Tyrese Maxey. So, we'll see how that plays out.
Yeah. And he's strong too. So there's no way he's going to keep him out of the paint. That's for sure.
Yeah. Foxy mentioned
show,
earlier
fellas.
that the Knicks wanted Quick. I mean, wanted Maxey instead of Quick.
If Maxey was available,
I think the Knicks wanted Maxey.
That's what I said. If Maxey was available, if Maxey and Quick were available, the Knicks were going to take Maxey, and a lot of it had to do because of his defensive game. That he's a streaky shooter and stuff, but so's Quick, as we found out. But he's at another level defensively and also physicality. He's just a real dog defensively. So, they would have liked that.
Absolutely, guys. This was a phenomenal show, man. I had a blast.
Yeah, we're gonna wrap it up here.
Yep.
Once again, I don't know how this happens. We decide we're gonna go on for an hour and a half, and somehow
it was my fault. It was my fault. I think it was my fault.
Okay, it was your fault because
it was my fault.
I was about to rap.
Hey, Keith, what I've learned in life: when in doubt, blame JD. It works for me all the time.
You guys can blame me tonight, but I hope it was a positive. So thank you. Thank you guys for having me.
Additional content.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for having me. I had
we love you, man.
Fun, and definitely let's do it again. And let's do it again in a more organized way. I don't have to pop up. We can actually
whatever you want, JD. You see me streaming, just say drop the link, and you can pull up and let your voice be heard.
Absolutely, man.
And we love hanging with you, man. As you know.
Yep.
Thanks. Yeah. So Foxy, thank you for co-hosting with me and helping to analyze this game against the.
An honor as always, my friend. Can't wait to see you next Sunday. And like we said, we're not overreacting. We're only 3 games in. We have a long way to go, folks. We're just going to call it like we see it, but we're thinking positive. We're thinking real positive.
Also, JD, thank you for popping up. It's a nice little treat to my subscribers in SV Nation. I'm pretty sure they weren't expecting it. I wasn't expecting it. I saw the drop the link. I said, all right, let's see what JD has to say. I guess he must be finished streaming. Let's see.
But there's one thing. There's only one thing that we can do after what we experienced tonight. Play some J Boogie so we can go out with a smile on our face.
That's a Snapple fact. So SV Nation, thank you guys for tuning in. You got us up and above 50 likes. I appreciate the support. JD pretty much summed it up when he said, we put a lot of work and effort into creating content, and you guys do a phenomenal job of supporting this channel. You support JD on his channel, JD Sports Talk. Make sure you guys check that out. I'll put it in the description once we wrap. And you can also find him on Knicks Fan TV. He likes to say collaborator, but I view him as part of the family. He's part of the family over there doing
co-host.
Great work. Yeah, co-host. Got some viral videos circulating now on Twitter. So make sure you check out JD Sports Talk, both on Twitter, on YouTube, also on IG and Knicks Fan TV as well. So thank you guys for supporting the channel. None of this is possible without you. And also want to say salute to J Boogie. We're going to be going out to his jam, podcasting. So once again, I'm Quis, host of Sports Vibes TV. That's Foxy. That's JD. And we're out.
Love you.
Let's get it. Y'all be spitting with your flows, I'm just podcasting.
That's right.
On the air every day, I'm just podcasting.
What?
You don't know what that mean when I say I'm podcasting. I'm broadcasting these flows with the podcasting. Every day of my life, I'm just podcasting.
Right.
Share my dreams with you, me and I'm podcasting.
What?
You can see my vision through the podcasting.
Yeah.
But don't forget J Boogie
Okay.
when I'm broadcasting.
What?
I'm podcasting,
What?
he podcasting.
What?
I've been spitting this venom since Karate Flicks. When Mr. Sims was sharing nothing but the Knicks. I guess you know by now, I seen some tough years. Now I know the reason why Freezy got them blowing tears. Closest thing to the Reverend means I'm the deacon. Call up G-Mo just so he can talk to Legion. I'm squeezing, get my young ones to overstand. Some more advice, Ron Cleveland, Mr. Man. I guess y'all know I'm just podcasting, right? Y'all be spitting with your flows, I'm just podcasting.
That's right.
On the air every day, I'm just podcasting.
What?
You don't know what that mean when I say I'm podcasting. I'm broadcasting these flows with the podcasting. Every day of my life, I'm just podcasting.
Right.
Share my dreams with you, me and I'm podcasting.
What?
You can see my vision through the podcasting.
Yeah.
But don't forget J Boogie
Okay.
when I'm broadcasting.
What?
I'm podcasting,
What?
he podcasting.
What?
I know some haters and doubters, they wanna take the shine. Call up JL, he said, do it in a nigga time. I feel you young when the car drive, they wanna ride. If you ain't Keys, we don't share the same sports vibe. We different, in other words, we ain't alike. But young head Hadouken, he a Nick at night. No sleeping, we YouTubing through the daylight. That's what it is when you live inside that Nick life. That Nick life, that Nick life. Y'all be spitting with your flows, I'm just podcasting.
That's right.
On the air every day, I'm just podcasting.
What?
You don't know what that mean when I say I'm podcasting. I'm broadcasting these flows with the podcasting. Every day of my life, I'm just podcasting.
Right.
Share my dreams with you, me and I'm podcasting.
What?
You can see my vision through the podcasting.
Yeah.
But don't forget J Boogie
Okay.
when I'm broadcasting.
What?
I'm podcasting,
What?
he podcasting.
What?
My man CP said, let's Nick fan the TV. From the podcast back to the MSG. The network, we breaking news here every day. Run the intro, that's CK, the 2K. The bills paid, Steven Fox, he got a dog walk. We'll tell JD we need that new sport talk. I don't care about the Sixers if they falling off. I'm at the rim left-handed like John Starks. John Starks, what? John Starks. Shout out to all the podcasters doing their thing. If you listen and represent a podcast, hit the like button and smash them up. You know what I'm saying? They working hard for you and everybody else. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to the First Lady, Miss Stephanie. Shout out to Ian Begley. Shout out to J Mac. Shout out to my man Tone Wu. Shout out to my man for the love of the game. And shout out for the pause and radio. And a special shout out to my man, the entertainer. You know what I'm saying? Rocking them New York Giants. It is football season. I can't forget him, man. Peace, love, and happiness to everybody. Protect yourself. Love yourself. You know what I'm saying? 3 capital S's. Salute, 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 man. Peace.